So the kind of the thing that I wanted to talk about, I don't care that much about the um Jesus, where is there it is.
Yeah, I
So
guess I'll explain. In DMs, you said I
oh
said to you,
yeah,
I was like,
sorry.
the
I was
problem
like
for me
giga
is that
high when I sent that. So I didn't know if I
yeah,
gave enough information.
no, you did. Like, and I guess while you're setting that up,
Oh,
I'll
I got it.
explain so that you don't have to. It's like you were trying to tell me that you felt like, or you said that you wanted to talk about this stuff, and I was like, okay. I was like, for me, like, my problem is that everybody just keeps talking about the optics, the ways that things look, and I don't really care about that. I care about the facts. And you were like, yeah, I don't really care about the facts. It's more about like the behaviors to me. And then I'm like, well, how can you have a judgment of my behaviors if you haven't gotten to the facts? Like, the
Sure.
facts are what justify your behaviors. And so that's kind of where we left off.
Yeah, so it's not about like the optics necessarily. I guess that's a component of it that Mantis thinks that she got a massive own on me for saying that yeah, optics are going to be a component of this, but for me, so this is my like broad uh view of you as a content creator and as a human being in this space, right? You did panels, you did a lot of debating, you had a lot of respect in terms of your argumentation and the way that you would engage with different people. And you had quite a good number of friends and connections. You could pull just about literally anyone that you wanted onto your stream. Maybe not at any point that you wanted, but you could contact them and you could get like Destiny. You could, well, actually Vosh, no, but that's because it's Vosh. You could get
No, I got Vash on a bunch of times as well.
oh,
Like, yeah,
just on your
like the
just
main thing I was known for was like networking and being able to hold relationships and shit like that. Yeah.
yeah. And so like for me, like I could respect that because I'm not very good at networking. I hate talking to people in friendly manners on the internet, right? Unless I have like a specific topic that we're going to sit there and talk about, it's just like a very alien form of communication to me. But you were really good at it. Um, Ever since I don't know what started the I don't know exactly what started the drama, right? I know that like for a couple of months before the big confrontation on JSTOX or whatever his name is on his
Mhm.
Discord, there had been like things that he had been saying about you being a sex pest. You didn't like that very much. You didn't respond. Um, but after that, when I was talking about behaviors specifically, um, I guess like maybe it's the loss of my internet brain. At a certain point, like there are some things that would give you a Pyrrhic victory so much worse than any kind of defeat that I would think that it's simply not worth it, right? Like, do you agree that that's a possibility?
I mean, it would depend on like what we're talking about. So
Well, yeah,
like
of course, but
when
like
you
just like
say
the
if it's
concept
not worth
of
it, well, yeah, if you say it's not worth it, like the things that like hurt my career wasn't like shit having to do with like Kelly Jean uh or JSTK or any of that. Like I during that drama for the 2 or 3 days that that was happening, by far the majority of like the interact engagement that I was getting was like supportive, and it seemed to be like only beneficial for me at the time. It was Sassafras and Zonia's stream where they come out with like a couple of DMs here and there. And this is after like Zonia and I spent days in uh in VC talking about her doing this stream and her saying, "Hey, I'm like I need all the facts. I'm going to help you. I'm going to go live and I'm going to try to explain all of this to people." And because now that Sass has left, a bunch of people are like wondering what the going on. And so I'm gonna go live and I'm gonna explain your side and I'm gonna do all this. But also like I really don't like Mantis, so I'm gonna go off on Mantis. And then so I go over all the facts with her. I show her a bunch of DMs. I go over everything that happened. And then she goes live and not only does the thing with Mantis, but then also starts leaking my DMs with Sassafras with like an insanely different narrative than what it is she said she was going to say and what it is that actually happened. And so from there, what all I did is I said, I was like, I don't think they're malicious. I don't think that they're like trying to hurt me. I think they're just confused. This is what actually happened, but I didn't like leak DMs back. I didn't like, fire back at them or anything. And then I just kind of like took some time off and stepped away for a while. And then when I came back, there was still shit being leaked and there was still new narratives coming out that I was abusive to Sass, that I was leading her on and using her for work. There was more and more like DMs being leaked with that sort of shit. And for about like 5 months, for the most part, I just kind of left it alone and didn't really respond and just kind of said like, yeah, like this isn't true. Like I can prove it's not true, but I don't want to leak DMs. So if anybody wants to reach out to me behind the scenes, I can show you that this is false and that these are false narratives, and I can prove this very easily. And then, yeah, a lot of the people who I thought were my friends and who I thought would at least give me a chance or reach out and want to see my side, none of them did. And instead, for those 5 months, we're continuing to spread these narratives and spread these rumors. And just of last week, Sass is still leaking DMs. And so now I like over and over, I keep ignoring people and keep letting them just like talk shit about me and not really firing back and not really hitting back at them. And so, yeah, now I'm doing the same to them that they're doing to me. But yeah,
Okay.
for a while I just left it alone.
Yeah, that's not the same perception that I had of like the events. So, okay, so the Zonia stream, I wasn't like sitting there like taking notes or anything because I don't think that this is that kind of conversation. The the vibe I got from that, and granted, I didn't get to finish because I went live. I got to like the first quarter of the SAS stuff. Explain to me what it was that she leaked about you, real quick.
So they showed a DM where Sass is saying, "I'm done with you." I'm like, she asked me if I was dating Mantis, and I said, we have like a more romantic style relationship. And it also turned out that Sass immediately sent that to Zonia. Zonia immediately went and leaked that in a bunch of different discords, like spicy chat and all over the place. So Sass like immediately leaked that to people. But obviously that's like a personal thing that I wanted to keep private, is how I interact with other women. That's not a thing that I'm gonna talk about on the openly. But yeah, so then when she goes live, there's a DM where Sass is saying like, I'm I'm done with you, after I tell her we have a more romantic relationship. And
When
then
you
I'm
say
like, okay,
more
can we?
romantic relationship, were y'all like dating, or is this just like 10% more romantic than like with your dad? Like when you say more
It's
romantic,
it's that like, and I had these conversations with Sass a bunch. I talked about this on stream a bunch. Is that like I don't really do like committed relationships or anything like that. I'm like willing to have like more short term like flings and shit like that, but that I wasn't ever like getting into like committed relationships where somebody's like my girlfriend, or we're like working towards something, or we have a commitment to each other. And so I was very open about the fact that that's who I was, and that's the types of relationships that I was interested in. And so when I say it's a more romantic style, it's me kind of just saying like, yeah, like this is just like somebody that I have.
soft dating. Is that a fair?
Yeah, I guess it's like a fling, whatever you want to call
Sure.
it.
Yeah.
It's and so but like I'd also been clear with Sass numerous times that like I don't talk to her about that shit. I'm not gonna go into detail about it with her. I'm not gonna like tell her other people's business. We had this conversation over and over and over and over. And so when she's asking me about these things, yes, I'm going to be general and I'm going to like give general information. But but this isn't like the first time I talked to her about me being close with Mantis. So anyways, so it shows that DM, and then it says like, Sass says, "I'm done with you." And then Tom says like, "Well, what the can we get into a call?" So we get into a call, and then Zonia is like, and so yeah, this is where Sass tells Tom that she's done with him because he's been lying to her and leading her on, and then she left, and which isn't what happened at all, and is just a massive misrepresentation of what of what actually took place. And then on top of that, Zonia also misrepresented things that I said in the call to her, tons of things. And so, yeah, so from there, instead of me firing back and like being like, these are liars, they're malicious pieces of shit, like blah, blah, blah. I just said, I was like, hey, I think it's a misunderstanding. I don't think they're malicious. I think that this is there's probably a reason for this. And I ended stream and I talked to some people and said, hey, can you go get into a call or can you get them into a call with me? Because from what I understand, these calls are all recorded. They have recordings of them. I don't. And so if you could moderate these conversations and go over the entire calls with us, I would like them to just realize that that's not what I said and then come out and admit it publicly. And if I'm wrong and I did say those things, then I will come out and admit it publicly. And those people did. They went and tried to get these meetings to happen and they were turned down and rejected. And that yeah, so I didn't fire back over and over. I was trying to do like the friendly thing and the thing that would like de-escalate things. Every time these people go and do something that escalates things, I try to de-escalate over and over, but that's not the narratives that are being used for this at all. And that is what I'm talking about, where I'm saying like, yeah, people are just like lying about what actually happened here.
Okay. So the biggest thing for me is like when we were watching. Actually, I just want to like ask questions first because I'm so curious because I can watch like the source material, like the original arguments, right? I don't really watch like the hate streams on you, so I don't know what the narratives out there are of you. Mostly, this is just like my observations. All right, I've seen what people have said in, like spicy chat. I've seen what people say in other discords, but like it's not really informing my opinion because I'm not watching Kuiman or the like Chud Logic coverage or anything like that. So, when after the like initial jumping on to JSTK's channel, you've since like said like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have said those things in the chat, right?
Yeah, the same day.
Yeah. And you've apologized to Kelly Jean in at least some capacity. I don't know if like for everything or if like some parts.
I literally said like that's not I wasn't like meaning to make you uncomfortable, that was not my intention. And so like I do apologize and like yeah, this is another part where like JSTK is sitting right there as I say this. And then I had like probably dozens of clips of him on his channel saying over and over, Tom's never apologized. And even on that panel, only like 20 minutes after I apologized, he starts saying, Tom never apologized. But his entire YouTube channel is gone, and so I don't have those dozens of clips of him saying this anymore. But just the other day on my channel, I did go over the clips showing him saying it just 2 days ago. He said it, and then he said it on the panel, and he's sitting there on the panel when I apologized to her. But also, like, there were times, so one of the things that I said is I was like, I apologized numerous times, and Wick even repeated it numerous times, saying, no, Tom did apologize. Stop saying that, JC. Okay, I was here for it. But there were times where I said, I'm sorry for making you feel that way. And then there were times where I said, I'm sorry you feel that way. And I didn't mean to do the second one. It was like, to me, they were the same in the moment. And I wasn't like thinking of a huge difference at the time. And so I understood like why people were confused. But yeah, pretty quickly I did say like, yeah, oh, I didn't mean to say like, I'm sorry you feel that way. Cause yeah, that would be weird for me to say, I'm sorry you feel that way right after saying, I'm sorry I made you feel that way. So obviously those are contradictory statements.
Gotcha. All right. Let me see. Are there any other questions I want to ask before getting real into it? Okay. I guess let's just like go into it. So there's a philosophy that I kind of live by, and I have lived by since high school, right? Because I was a cringe theater nerd, right? Mm-hmm. And that is, if everybody is telling you something, right, like about like your behavior or like social cues or something like that, even if you really feel like you're right, even if you really feel like you're like in the moral correct, position, and that you haven't done anything wrong, you should probably listen to them because you don't have a good overview of yourself. You can't look at yourself from the outside, right?
100%. Yeah.
Okay. Does that carry any weight to you?
100%. Yes. I've talked about this numerous times, and just 2 streams ago, I went into detail about this pretty deeply. That like when somebody says something and they like characterize it, if there's enough people saying that thing, you would have to be insane to sit there by yourself against hundreds of people and say, no, all of you are wrong. I'm the one who's right. That would be insane, right? But if instead those hundreds of people are saying you're bad for something that just literally never happened, and they're hearing that you did that thing from a bunch of other people who just have like a bigger voice and are more capable of spreading information than you are, then there's a big difference. And so if you're able to go back, so like, let's say, for example, let's say there's one person who's doing a stream and another person is in their chat, and that person on stream, the streamer says to the chatter, like, you're a pathetic alcoholic wine mom and you're a drunk. So that person jumps on and they argue against that person. And they say like, hey, it's probably not good to like make fun of somebody's addiction. And then the streamer says, well, I can't criticize somebody just because they have an addiction. Go back to your wine cellar. I'm going to mog you by drinking a White Claw. There, nowhere in there did the person say, you can't criticize me for being, or for the actions I did while I was drunk. They're saying, calling somebody a pathetic alcoholic wine mom and a drunk who's like, for somebody who's like an addict and in recovery and those sorts of things, it starts to like really discount what happened. But if everybody else then, all the chat turns around and says, yeah, that chatter said that you can't even criticize them because they, because you're not allowed to criticize them just because they're an addict. Well, that person never said you can't criticize them just because they're an addict. They said that it's probably not good to make fun of people's addiction, and especially when they're in recovery. It would be weird, right? And so if everybody starts running around saying this over and over, hey, this person said you can't criticize them just because they're an addict. Well, it would make sense that a lot of people think that's what happened because that's what was repeated by the streamer. But for the person who was actually there, they know they didn't say that. And they can pull up the clip over and over and show that they didn't say that. So at that point, it doesn't matter how many people say you said this thing. If they can pull up the clip and just prove it didn't happen, it would be it'd be enough for them to say convinced, right?
Sure. So on that, first off, I didn't know that Mantis was an alcoholic. I'd never heard that. I just could tell that she was drunk on that food shops thing. So that's where that insult came from. And I said that it was good that she was recovering or recovered. I don't know what the terminology for addiction is. So I don't know if you are recovered or if you're always recovering. But
yeah.
So in my defense, I didn't know she was actually an alcoholic. I thought she was just raging. Now,
but
yes,
you do recognize she didn't say that you can't criticize her because she's an alcoholic, that you couldn't criticize her actions, that she was saying it's kind of messed up for making fun of somebody's addiction.
Well, the only thing I did make
afterwards is she's acting like I can't criticize her just because she's an addict. Yeah,
well, that's because the second time that I brought it up. Yeah, that's because the second time that I brought it up, she was saying that I was making fun of her for being an addict, and that's not what I said. I said that she went on and like drunkenly raged on food shop's stream. That's why I said she's saying that I can't criticize her because she is an addict, because I didn't bring up her being an addict. I brought up her doing a specific action on someone's stream. But that aside the point, I understand what you're saying in regards to like bringing up a clip, seeing like the evidence, but you can do that. And I agree that, yeah, just because everybody else says something, if you have proof of the contrary, that doesn't mean that you should just automatically take their position, right? And I said as much
Right.
like talking. I don't know if I said it to Resi or if I said it after Resi left and we were just talking with chat. But yeah, the you don't have to just automatically, because everyone's telling you to jump off a bridge. Obviously, this is the correct action to take. But like maybe for like your own self-preservation, like your own like mind, like thinking, okay, well maybe I might be correct, but this is like a really bad hill to die on. Did that
Yeah, but
cross your
that
head?
is what I did for a long time, and that didn't work out so well. That is me continuing for almost 5 months. Yeah, just not really talking about it. If other people brought it up or other people asked me about it, sure I would respond, but I wasn't really like attacking people, and I wasn't like going after them. I wasn't leaking shit about them. I was never escalating. But yeah, for like 5 months, that's what I'm doing. And my shit 5 months later is still being leaked and I'm still being attacked and being mischaracterized and being lied about. And so at this point, not only am I like telling the full story, but saying, hey, now I'm working on a video that will just leak everything. Now I'm putting out a video that is just going to leak everything and tell the entire story and prove over and over and over that not only are these DMs cut out of context and just like misleading you, but there's entire narratives that there's just absolutely no evidence for whatsoever, and there's proof of the opposite. And so there's like that is what I'm saying now, and now yeah, they're getting upset about it. Or there's like the shit about like my friends, a lot of these people that I was talking to, a lot of them, when I contacted them, they didn't really have like criticisms for me, right? That was like when I took time off right after all this shit happened, I felt like I was losing my mind. I was very upset. Sassafras is one of my closest friends. She's somebody I cared about a lot. She was somebody that I was very close to for a while. And as was Zonia. And so when they both come and tell me one thing, but then they go and do streams and do the exact opposite and tell a very different story. A very different story than what it is they told me. Well, yeah, I was in like a whirlwind where I thought I was losing my mind. I thought I was crazy. I thought maybe I am just like totally missing everything. And that's why I wanted to go over phone calls with them. I wanted to go over DMs with them. I didn't want to do it publicly. I wasn't trying to embarrass them or anything. I was just trying to have my own like peace of mind and gain sanity. And then other people who were also friends with me, when I talked to them in calls, they didn't have criticisms for me when I asked them for it, that not like things that I could actually use or had like some substance to it that I could actually latch on to. And today
When you
I
say that, what do
recorded
you
all those
mean?
calls, meaning like I asked numerous people in numerous calls, hey, like I'm really trying to understand like what the happened here. And because Sass and Zonia won't talk to me, and they're the ones who did this, I need somebody somewhere to like give me some sort of explanation, because I just feel like I'm in the dark, and I feel like there's got to be something that I'm missing that explains all this. There's got to be something I'm missing that makes this make sense. Because from my position, they're just blatantly lying, and it's very malicious. But I don't think that way of them. I don't think that they would do that to me. And so it's got to be me. It's got to be me. That's just not understanding, and I'm missing something. And I tried this for a while, and
Yes,
yeah, it just
my
I never got
perception.
those answers.
Yeah, my perception of like the whole falling out between Sass and Zonia and you was 1 second. I don't know if I have TTS. Okay, I don't think I do. All right, so thank you for the $5. I'm not going to play Monkey Ball. I have better games. So my perception of like the conversation with Zonia and Sass was essentially, I don't think that, at least from what I've seen, right? I don't think that they were like mad at you on a fact basis. I think it was the response, which was like the main criticism that I have of you, right? Like,
Wait, the response to what?
um, just like I think that you went around and debated, and that was the L. That was the initial L. Was the initial defenses.
Oh, but it had nothing to do with that. That had nothing to do with it. They like Sass left. And again,
well, to be fair,
like,
I don't know as much about.
People,
yeah, I don't know as much about Sass. Like me and Zonia used to be like pretty chill. She's up doing her thing now, so I don't know what she's up to. But like I watched, with
I tell
One
you, I have
single
phone
Indian
calls
tear
of me
going
and
down
Sass
my eye.
talking about this. I have phone calls of me and Sass talking about this, where she just is on my side, and she is talking about the fact that, like, yeah, obviously Kelly Jean and JSTK, they're insanely bad faith. Like, you want to keep going after them and like disagreeing with them. That all makes sense. Like, she is not. She was like, yes, it was not this thing where she's like telling me to stop or anything like that, and that is how Zonia framed it. But it didn't. But that wasn't what actually happened with
But these were
Sassafras.
all on like VC calls. These weren't on. These aren't in DMs.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, no. Like,
Okay.
the little bit that's in DMs is where she would say something like, hey, congrats on you and Mantis doing a great job on JSTLKs. Go do a victory lap because you did so good. And then she'd say, like, right after, like, I hope you, just in case you didn't know, that was sarcasm. But she had a, like, hate boner for Mantis for months at this point. And so, yeah, she was upset that Mantis and I were debating together on something.
Um, is that going to come out in your manifesto, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and even like there was, I can even like give you a DM now that like Chud showed where it was
Yeah, if there's anything that you can link me now, like, because again, I'm not here to like.
Sass already came out with this, is my point. It's
Yeah.
like Sass already said she was upset that I didn't listen to her about Mantis, and that was like the thing that she was upset about. But in the
what
call
was the
with
thing
her,
that she was saying about Mantis specifically?
so this only recently was made public. There were other people that were involved in this. And so when I went and talked to Sulfur about her saying one thing to me in private and one thing to me like when we're in person, but then every time she goes on another stream or she's in other people's chats or discords, she says like something very different than what she's saying to me. We got into this on stream just a couple weeks ago and had that conversation. And she showed DMs where she was talking about the fact that her and Sass and some other people were going around saying that Mantis and Abby Blackbird were running ops in a bunch of different discords, like my Discord and in Spicy Chat, and that like this was all like a thing to create drama and drum up drama, and they were there specifically to like start fights and just stir the pot. And this is something that Sass came and warned me about. And when she did, I showed her DMs or something from Mantis where I was like, here, this kind of proves that that's not true. This is from a while ago where it's Mantis showing Abby trying to, saying that she wants to coach Mantis on how to talk in DMs and saying, or in discords and saying, hey, I want to teach you how to like be less feminine around these people because they'll use it against you. And Mantis sending these to me being like, this is crazy. Like, I don't know why she thinks she can coach me. I can't stand this person. She's so weird, but I'm trying to be nice to her, but she's so cringe. And so I show this to Sass and she says, oh, okay, like I guess we're wrong, like my bad. And I was like, okay, yeah, go tell all your friends that are spreading this that this is wrong and that this is that doesn't make sense. And so they're like, okay. And then plus on top of that, like Mantis at this point, before I'd ever even spoken to her, had been like defending me with like JSTLK and Queeman and all and in Spicy Chat and just all over the place because she was part of my community for a long time. So like it was just, it didn't make sense. So Sass is supposed to tell the others that this isn't true. And then they approach me and come later and say, hey, so Sass wanted us to talk to you about the fact that Mantis and Abby are running ops and they're trying to start drama and drum shit up. And I was like, wait, I already proved to Sass that that's not the case. I showed her this. And they're like, oh, well, Sass didn't tell us about this. That's weird. Okay, well then, never mind then. And that was the end of it. But Sass got very upset and threw a tantrum over the whole thing when she was supposed to go tell them. She was mad that I didn't just like kick Mantis or kick Abby or whatever. And we got into a huge fight over it because I was really upset that she was willing to spread rumors about people that she knew were wrong, yet she continued to allow them to spread instead of going and telling those people. So this was already like a big fight for us. And so then later, when she finds out that I have a romantic style relationship with Mantis, That's what pissed her off. We get into a call.
Okay, really
I
quick,
talk
just
to Ash.
because I just want to like
Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, so like summary of what the events that you just laid out.
Mhm.
Mantis and Abby Blackbird were running ops on behalf of you in JSTK and
No,
Spicy
not
Chat
on behalf of me. No,
against you.
that they were trying to run behalf. Yes, that they thought it was on behalf of like Spicy or JSTK or somebody like that against me, and that I should be worried about them.
Okay. And that was true or was not true?
It was not true, and I'm saying I've showed like proof that that was not true.
Okay.
And
so Sass thought that there were these ops being done by these two people, and you.
Well, after I showed it to her, she said she agreed with me that it was
Okay.
not true. She said she agreed that it was not true, but was still upset about it for some reason.
Well, if I'll tell you this, if I obviously you don't think that Mantis is like, what do you think of like the Mantis defense train that's been going on? Because it feels like every single bit of this drama starts with like Mantis going in to defend you against something that like you don't really actually need to respond to, because there are going to be people that hate you on the internet and say crazy shit about you, right? Like Mantis going in and causing a big hubbub, and then you're kind of like now put in a position where you either have to go in and defend yourself because it's been made a bigger deal than it actually was. Like that's my perception of it. If I didn't know any better, I would think it was a op. Not gonna lie. So
yeah, so the thing is that like, again, people don't know, and this is like that's part of the narrative, is because it's just missing so much context. So where I'm telling you, hey, you went and talked to Sondsol, he gives you, or sorry, you went and talked to Resi, he gives you a rundown of everything that happened, and the narrative is just blatantly untrue in missing like the most important facts, or just like parts of it are just lies. That is like part of my problem, is that like even the way that you're like presenting this part, it just misses so much that doesn't actually tell the truth. Mantis was somebody who was, again, part of my community for like 6 months before any of this shit happened. She was part of my community before she was part of anybody else's, like Speakeasies, JSTLKs, Queemans, Spicy Chat, all of these. And during all of that, when she first joined those communities, she was jumping onto streams and defending me for like 6 months before any of this shit happened. So it just, it's it's not this like one-to-one comparison, because yeah, she was doing this shit for a very long time.
right, but did any of those like put you into bad positions where you had to jump on and like start defending yourself because of the like?
I don't think any debate she's ever done put me in a bad position where I felt like I had to jump on and debate.
Do you think so? What was you just felt like doing it on JSTOX?
Yeah, because at, like you said, like at that point he had been doing this for like 3 or 4 months now, and he was always like trying to find something new to say, oh, this is what justifies my characterization of tomfoolery being a sex pest. I had already debated him on this twice, so like it wasn't like I completely disengaged with him. I debated him on it twice, and then after that, every time he wanted to talk about it, I was like, unless you have something new, I'm not talking to you about it. But this time, they actually had something new, and that was me just pulling up Kelly Jean's Instagram. And so, yeah, so this time I wanted to go talk to them about it and have a conversation. And Kelly Jean is just so infuriating that I ended up yelling at her instead. So, yeah.
I mean, I don't. Like when I was watching the conversation with you and Kelly Jean, I feel like I would start yelling at her too. Optics be damned. It's really difficult listening to her. I can't imagine talking to her. But
yeah, and I felt like people were right afterwards, where they're like, "Yeah, this is like bad optics," and I'm like, "Okay, fair enough. Like, I get it. It's just that I feel like, yes, when people say like, oh, Kelly called Tom creepy, and so he went and yelled at her for it, that's again just not what actually happened. That is like a very like narrative driven sort of optics thing that's just not true. What actually happened is I went on there, I was being nice, I was like just trying to have a conversation, and she was just so infuriating the entire time that eventually I'm yelling at her for skipping around, changing the arguments, changing, what happened, refusing to respond. Like, yes, that's what I yelled at her for. Nothing having to do with like her calling me creepy.
Yeah. I mean, like, I understand how that can happen because it's Kelly Jean, and I mean, there was that big thing on Destiny's yesterday, that kind of showed those same kind of behaviors. But I think that when it comes to these sorts of things, like I think that it's always an L. I think it is 100% always an L to go out and try and debate people on this sort of stuff, especially if you're talking to someone who has at least the appearance of being a victim in the thing. If they're like adequately able to, you know,
Yeah, I didn't
um,
plan on really debating her on that. Again, that was not like the thing that I went on to debate her on.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that last sentence? Sorry.
That is not what I went to debate her on.
Right.
Like, they were just like they were saying things that didn't make sense to me. Like they were saying like, "Oh yeah, Tom's a sex pest now. Like this is confirmed." But then when you would ask them like, "Okay, so you're upset that he pulled up her Instagram?" They'd be like, "No, no, no, no. It's not. We don't care that he pulled up the Instagram. We're upset about the things that were being said in chat." And it's like, wait, so you're calling me a sex pest because things were said in chat? That just doesn't make sense to me. So I just wanted to clear that part up. And then also, while Mantis was on, they were arguing with her about like all objectification being wrong, just which to me means that Kelly Jean shouldn't even have the Instagram that she has. It just doesn't make sense anymore. So I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to talk about the fact that like they're acting like cooming at all, or like being like sexually attracted to women on streams is wrong. And so that's what I went on to talk to her about. That's what we had a conversation on. At the end, she starts saying, "Oh, so you're trying to debate me out of my feelings. You're trying to debate me out of you being creepy." And I was like, "Wait, that's not what we're talking about." And she's like, "Well, that's what I'm talking about." And I said, "Okay, if you're just talking about your feelings, then I don't care to have this conversation. I'm out." And I hung up because yeah, I was not there to debate her on that. I didn't care to have a conversation with her on that. I wanted to clear up like just the little bit of information,
The
and I
chat
thought that we could do that
messages or
amicably
the
initially.
you're talking about the chat messages or you're talking about something else?
The just me pulling up the thing on stream, not the
Okay.
chat messages. No.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously, and again, like the chat messages were a little bit unhinged. I was just around. I thought it was funny at the time, but yeah, I wasn't. I was not there to debate her out of her feelings or debate her on any of that. But that was like again the narrative afterwards is Tom debated her on her feelings, and it's like, damn, dude, if we go back to it and look at it, that's just not what happened. But okay,
Did
like,
it
and
seem
then
like people in the moment felt that way? Like, would if we were to, I don't know if there are still mirrors of the VOD because I know he's banned off of YouTube. Were the chat saying things to that effect, or
I don't know. I went and streamed later and reviewed it later, and again, from my perception, the people that were in my chat, that didn't seem to be the case.
yeah, I would,
Yeah,
I will discount literally the opinion of anybody's chat because the chat is always going to glaze you. I lost a debate, there are like 3 debates that I've lost on stream, in my entire streaming career, and every time chat was glazing me, and I knew that it was me that lost, right? So
sure, on losing is one thing,
or
but I'm
like just
talking
like on
about
any
like when
kind of
we're talking
optics
about
thing, like the chat, like generally speaking, unless they're either with you or you're like having some like argument with chat in the first place, like generally speaking, if you're going into some combative situation, do you like disagree that most people's chats are like willing to sit there and like glaze because they're seeing it from your point of view because
yeah,
you're
they
the
want to
streamer?
hype you up.
Yeah.
No, yeah, no, no, no. As I said, I wasn't looking at his chat. I wasn't paying
Right. I'm
attention to
talking
his
about your chat
talking about
afterwards.
my chat
Yeah.
afterwards. That yeah, like as I'm talking about this, the fact that they're like they have similar thought processes to me, and that this is kind of the way things were going. Again, things turned pretty quickly as soon as the stuff with Sass and Zonia happened. That's when shit changed. Had nothing to do with Kelly Jean and JSTK. Like I don't think people actually gave a about that in large. Like that wasn't a thing that was going to hurt me or create some great exodus from my community.
I well, I don't think that was going to create a big. So I don't know the answer to this. Has there been a big exodus from your community?
Yes,
Okay.
after the SAS stuff, like at the time I was averaging 200 plus concurrent viewers. Now I average probably from 30 to 50 concurrent viewers. So
I think that
have like a whole new mod team and everything.
Yeah. If I was to guess, I don't think that they left because of the like specifically because of the SAS and Zonia or like narratives that are going around. Because that's not what was. Because some things that people said were crazy unhinged or like completely unrelated, right? Like there's tangential dramas that have gone on like with you since, and I'm like, I don't really care that much about this, right?
Well, and there are a bunch of separate things, but that's
Right.
part of the problem is that when people talk about these things, they put it all in one bucket and say, oh, he's looping. And it's like, looping? This is a whole new thing that just happened this week. And
But
you
it's
guys are saying
related
I'm
to the other
looping.
things,
Like,
and so you're forced to talk about it. Yeah, I understand. I think that the
well, not I wouldn't put it that way, but yeah.
Oh, well, I just mean like the fact that like people are focusing on this new thing, and these people were the same people that were like going after you for the previous stuff. So like in that way, it's related because they're now mogging you constantly because there was this previous drama. And
Yes, they're able to
yeah,
use new things to carry on the narrative. And so, yes, because I addressed all of those other things, now I'm just addressing these things as they come out. And that's, yeah, it's pretty simple.
yeah. So yeah, this is
Like, real quick,
yeah,
I mean, we went down that
100%.
line of logic. Like, you started off by saying that like Mantis like goes onto these platforms and kind of starts the problem, but you understand again that is just like a lot of narrative driving. But there's one time where she went onto a platform and debated. That was with JSTK and Kelly Jean, and I probably would have done that regardless of but she,
Nope, there's
because
been at
she was
least
debating
2
them on.
times. It's happened
So what was another time?
the food shops one.
I didn't go on there. I never
Oh,
talked
sorry,
to them.
sorry. I misunderstood you. I thought you were just talking about Mantis going on and like arguing for you and like in my
What you
opinion making
said
it
was that
worse.
Mantis goes on and debates things, and then I have to jump on to debate them now because of her, and that I create new problems, and that it's because of her. But that's the stuff with food shops I didn't ever really even address any of that because it wasn't anything to address. The only thing that I was addressing had to do with the person who jumped on before Mantis, who was talking about the fact that he had a long conversation with Sassafras, and she was telling him how abusive I was and how manipulative I was and all of this shit, and they were leaking new DMs, new information and shit like that. Like, that's the only thing that I addressed. That everything having to do with Mantis was just her arguing against him doing that or saying those things.
Okay. Yeah, no. So, okay, what was the question I was just asking? Talking about I lost my train of thought.
We're talking about me addressing things because people are carrying on a narrative.
Okay, yeah, no. Okay, so we were talking about like the exodus from your community. Yeah, so like this was like my perception throughout the entire like initial phases of like the big you know, blow ups that started with the Kelly Jean stuff was there would be a something that would happen that like maybe this probably wouldn't cause a big exodus from your community because it's like one part of a drama and your chat is like mostly on your side. Maybe they think that there's like some part of it that's cringe, but it's not enough for them to like turn against you. And like same with me, I wasn't like super offended at the argument with Kelly Jean. There were parts of it that were really funny. You know, we all like some drama slop every once in a while. It is the like the doom spiral into like protecting your reputation, defending your name and defending your actions that like it probably went on for like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. And then you did calm down, but it feels like there are continual little bits of like responses that don't really line up with the idea that like you're not responding to anybody. You're not, you know, like perpetuating the drama. It just like keeps on coming out. Right.
Okay, so that again isn't actually true. So I have to address the facts here in order to like
Sure. Yeah. No, I'm listening
edit
for
that
you.
narrative of this doom spiral that happened for weeks. On the 6th, the stuff happened, or on the 5th, the stuff happened with Kelly Jean. On the 6th, I reviewed it. I think on the 7th, nudes leak, and then Sass leaves on like the 10th. So I was gone after that. Like there's the Wick panel, the nude leaks. I'm gone. And then on the 10th is when Zonia does her stream. I do my stream with like a script, just like mostly reiterating everything that happened, talking like reiterating apologies, saying that like, yes, these are the things that I apologize for, but all of these other things didn't happen. And then I pull up the Zonia stream where I'm saying, hey, like those are DMs that they're showing, but that doesn't actually make sense based on the DMs that they're showing. So I'm going to try to fix this. I don't think they're being malicious. I don't think they're trying to hurt me, blah, blah, blah. And then I end stream and I go off and I'm gone for a while and don't really get into it or engage with it. And when I come back, I don't I will maybe give like little things at the beginning of stream, but there weren't debates. There weren't like long lines of calls or anything like that. It was, so yeah, there were maybe 2 to 3 streams and then the Zonia stuff happens and everything. I just kind of left it alone for the most part.
So like there's no like segments that you've published or like parts of live streams where you are watching like JSTK or Kelly Jean or someone else or Kuiman or anything like that. You're never responding to anything that they're saying on stream.
Wait, when you say anything that they're saying, like
are you live reacting to them on stream about you?
In general, yes. Yeah, sure. Like I still react to people who are talking shit. Just because that one thing happened doesn't mean that I'm now going to ignore all accusations from all people having to do with anything ever. No, like on that shit, for the most part, I addressed it. It happened. Like that's over with. But now, yes, when new narratives come out and there's new things to address and there's new shit to talk about, sure. So like just 2 weeks ago, Kuiman came out with this thing where he's saying, hey, I proved that Tom was irresponsibly labeling himself an authority. And so I was like, okay, well, actually, I have the clips that kind of prove that this isn't the case. And I went over the clips on my stream. And that was the time that I addressed Kuiman. In that, I said something about sulfur that she didn't like, so we had a conversation in DMs. But then she goes into Resi's chat and says something very different there than what it is she said to me in DMs. And in our DMs, I'm telling her, hey, you keep telling people things that are different than what you're telling me. So then I go on the Resi stream and talk to her there. But that's, again, very different from the Kuiman thing and very different from the JSTK thing and different from the shit with Sass and them. So all of these are like separate issues.
So, okay, let me ask about the sulfur thing. So I wrote down like the addressing new things as they pop up. Because
I still wanted to understand because it felt like we faded off again. You do understand that like the way that this is framed with Mantis, like starting shit for me and causing new problems.
Is that a common narrative?
It is something that people have said that doesn't align with reality. That it is something that people just keep repeating. But if there's any one thing that it would make sense on, it's with the JSTK Kelly Jean thing, because that's the one time that I jumped on and engaged with something after her.
Did the rest of it, food shops thing not like lead to like more speculation into like everything that went on or your relationship with Mantis or like her motivation, like that didn't cause any additional problems for you?
No, the only problem was that she was yelling at people for lying about me, and people said that it looked optically bad. That was the one problem that came from it that I can remember. But outside of that, no, I don't think anything else. I didn't react to it. I didn't engage with it. I didn't talk about it. I didn't jump on.
But it led to like a new avenue of attack for you, I guess. Is like, if you don't think that like the narratives that came out of that or anything like that are like problems for you, then okay, I guess those aren't problems for you. For me, I would have like a really big.
That's part of why we keep these things a secret. That's literally why you don't talk about this shit, because any other girl,
not the fact that y'all are boyfriend girlfriend. That's not what I'm talking about.
Right? No, you're saying that it causes problems for me just because she's now attached to me because people leaked those things. But otherwise, she is just another one of these chatters who goes out and argues with people and defends me sometimes. That outside of that, she would just be
she's associated with you because she's jumping on to defend you on on shows that are specifically talking about you and getting into like protracted long arguments.
Yes,
So that
so do tons of other people, but that's not, they don't get the same shit. And it doesn't, nobody says, oh, they're creating problems for Tom. Like nobody says that about STV Philly. Anytime he jumps on and debates somebody and defends me, nobody says that about like, you know, like Thing That Is or Trib or anybody going into chats and defending me. Nobody says that about them.
yeah,
But
well,
if
going into
Mantis
chat.
goes into a chat
Let me ask you about
and argues
STV
with
Philly.
people,
Let me ask you about STV Philly. Is STV Philly going onto someone's stream specifically to defend you for more than like 10 minutes, or is this being brought up in the middle of a conversation and he says that you're like a cool dude, and I think that like the hate against him is, you know, a little bit you know, exaggerated, and I don't think it's like nearly as bad as people are making it out to be.
from what I understand with the Zonia thing, he argued with Zonia, Queeman maybe 2 or 3 times, Chud a couple of times. There's been like, I can't keep up with all of the times he's argued with people and debated people. I didn't really see any of them, but from what I understand, there's been a lot of them. I think he just had another one with somebody else like last week. Like, yeah, this is they are inviting him on to talk to him and say, hey, stop defending Tom, and then he goes on and defends himself for defending Tom.
I guess I would have to watch those debates because I didn't even know that you and him were cool like that. But like
But it's the same thing with Mantis just going into a chat and arguing with somebody and saying that they're wrong. The same exact narrative comes up with, oh, you're creating problems for Tom. But yeah, nobody says the same thing
if
about
STV Philly goes on, yeah.
Trib.
Well, I can modify my opinion very easily. If STV Philly goes on, I don't know who the Trib is, but if STV Philly goes on and he's like as aggro and, you know, debating in the same way as Mantis with the same level of like sweeping, then I like, yeah, 1,000,000,000% I can like shift my opinion. But like there are like levels to this that people would care more or less about. Yeah.
Okay, when we say the same level of sweeping, the difference with Philly is that people will approach Philly with a bunch of information and they'll say, hey, I don't think you know about XYZ. And he's like, oh shit, yeah, I've never heard that before. I didn't know about that. So I guess if that's true, then yeah, this is bad. And then he'll come to me and be like, hey, this person said X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, yeah, that's just made up. Go back and tell them to prove it. Like they're just around, like they have no idea what they're talking about. And he's like, oh, okay, so yeah, so I guess that's what. But like he will concede things. The difference is that Mantis already knows all that information, and when she's approached with those things, she knows that they're just making it up. Whereas Philly, he doesn't know all the information, and so he's more willing to like hear people and be like, oh no, I didn't know that thing, maybe that's true, huh, I'll have to consider that.
Okay. Well, I'll have to like watch the videos. I don't know like because again, like I'm not like sitting there and consuming anti-Tom content all the time, so I don't know what the different narratives are, right? Like it seems like there are a couple of things that I think that are aligning with some of the narratives. I don't know what to think of that, but I don't know. Like I feel like with the Mantis stuff, I think that the way she was going about defending you and the venues that she was going to defend you in and the things that she was saying in those venues, like made it seem like she was sweeping unbelievably hard in a way that like if someone did that for me, I would eat a shotgun at the wrong end. Like I wouldn't want someone to do that for me. And I like it, the sentiment might be positive, but I would be really unhappy with it.
Well, I will say before all of this shit happened, that was a common thing with a ton of streamers and a ton of chatters and a ton of people who, yeah, if they were watching somebody like Keffels or somebody like JSTK or somebody like Queeman or any of these people and they're just sitting there talking shit, yeah, that was super common. That another streamer or another person that I was friends with or another person that's a chatter and a common watcher of mine would go on and jump on and debate people and tell them that they were wrong. That happened all the time. But now that the narrative is like, oh, well, no, Tom's just wrong and he won't accept it, that obviously now looks a lot different. And when there's fewer people doing it, it looks a lot different. But that is like just an optics thing, because if you actually think about it for a second, if it is true that a lot of this shit isn't real and that a lot of it is just kind of like narrative driving and it doesn't align with the facts or even contradicts the facts, that it would make sense that if there's only a couple of people on your side, that those people would be like more outspoken and loud about it the entire time.
Okay. Let me see here. Mantis doesn't pick her battles. There is no Tom battle she won't fight. She is Tom's strongest soldier. True. Okay, so
And just to be clear, that's just not true. Like she's
Oh,
not
sorry,
fighting
I'm-
90-something% of the battles, but I know that that's a chatter, so I know.
yeah. So yeah, I disagree on the idea that like Mantis isn't doing anything different than STV Philly. I mean, like, did you find anything that I said to Resi like particularly objectionable yesterday or whenever?
I told you I didn't listen to it. You jumped on and asked him for everything that's happened. He started giving you a timeline, and I think I tuned out like towards where like he gave a timeline and I'm listening to it and I'm like, wow, dude, he just totally strawmanned like the entire thing, added things that didn't happen and took out the important parts. And then you said something about like, yes, he's like, he just keeps like digging himself deeper or he's falling farther into this vortex of a black hole or some shit like that. And then that's when I was like, okay, like I don't know, I can't listen to people who just have no idea what they're talking about talk about me. Like I'm not gonna, yeah. So I just tuned out and turned it off.
Yeah, that basically that's what I said in different variations basically the whole time. So okay, let me see here. Was writing some stuff down. Yeah, I disagree like with especially like the way that Mantis came in. Granted, I did say something mean to her first in chat. But I don't think that she particularly liked me beforehand for some reason. So that's whatever. But the way that she was like coming in and the almost like MAGA Trump person type, there is no criticism against Tom that doesn't involve like she was doing the web thing where, because I think that my perception, again, I say I think, but I could change my mind. My perception is like, it feels like I keep on seeing you fight a losing battle against people that are like essentially just A-logs. And there's literally no winning that battle. But to me, it seems like, I don't know if, because I don't think that it's all
I would
Mantis.
need like specifics to know what it is you're even talking about. Because again, if you're just going to pick any debate that I ever have now, like they are, and then saying, oh, this is now the same thing, then sure, if that's the framing, then literally it's all the same thing. And anytime I debate somebody now on anything ever, it's all the same shit. There's nothing I can do about that. But
No, I
if
think
it's
that
like,
like
oh, well, no, there's some things here and there, then I would need to know what you're talking about.
No, I think that it's the people that you're arguing with. There's like literally no win condition. Like, why would you go into a
like what? I'm gonna need specifics on what you're talking about.
JSTK and Kuiman and all the people that have been A-logging you?
I talked to JSTK for the last time on Wix channel.
But I'm not talking about just talking to them. I'm talking about responding to them or, like even, addressing something new that they brought
you're
up.
saying like, hey, they come up with new shit that they're making up, but they're able to like pull up clips and misframe them in a certain way. And they're able to just keep repeating things enough to where it like everybody starts to believe it's something that actually happened. And I just don't respond to that. And I allow people with bigger audiences and bigger reach to just slander me for a long time. And I just leave that alone and never respond with new shit that they come up with.
At a certain point, yeah, personally. I mean, like,
No.
It's happened to me. And it was like never worth it. And it's happened with smaller streamers and it's happened with larger streamers. But like at a certain point, like you have to realize these are not the people that like it's not possible to win against them. There is no reframing. There's no
winning. There is no winning. I'm not trying
the
to
only way to win,
people.
right? The only way to win, the only way to come out on top is to not play the game.
That's Sondsol. Like, go tell Des
Yeah,
not to engage with Hassan and Vosh and all these people who keep making stuff up about them just because they're bad faith. That every time they make up a new thing with big audiences, that he should just ignore them.
No, I wouldn't say that to
makes sense.
Destiny or to Vosh. No, I wouldn't say that to either of them. What's the difference between me and you and Destiny and Vosh? They have massive.
Wait. I think you misunderstood what I said.
Okay, maybe.
You would say that to Destiny about Vosh and Hassan.
No, I wouldn't say that to I wouldn't say it to Destiny. I wouldn't say it to Vosh. I wouldn't say it to Hassan. Like, all three of these people have something in common. Like, even if he's talking about like the things that Vosh is saying, even if he's saying things about Hassan or responding to things that Hassan is saying, there's two things that I would say is different between people like us or streamers like us and streamers like them. They have a army of people they're willing to help them correct the record, whereas like I have an average audience.
I did too.
Yeah, you didn't have an army. You had 100. I'm sorry. This is coming from someone with lower viewership. Okay, like you had 150 people. All right, and some chunk of those people were hate watchers, and with that few amount of people, the amount of people that are going to go out of their way to like help you make clip compilations to show that they're lying, that have, some following on Twitter because they're, a tomfoolery, Twitter orbiter that can just like put out different videos under different tweets about you. Like, without like that kind of network of, counter intel, co-intel pro shit, like it's a battle you can't win.
Again, you keep saying this, Sondsol. You're going to drive me crazy. When you say it's a battle you can't win, I don't know what the that means. What I know is that if somebody comes out with some narrative about me and they're able to clip things in a way that is convincing, I believe my audience, if they are honest, would want to know what the that is about. And so I deserve, or my audience deserves, an answer to those things, and that I am going to respond to it and explain it to them so that they understand what it is that actually happened, or what it is that what it is that my thought process is on it. But that this isn't like, oh, it's time to go to war with these people. No, it's, hey, yeah, if I'm actually honest, if I'm actually good faith, then I would respond to these things and I would explain myself. And then, yeah, that's just kind of, there doesn't need to be much more than that.
Okay. When I say win, I'm talking about the best outcome for you. That's what I'm talking about. Coming out on top is having the best outcome for you.
Yeah.
For me, I've had Keffels go after me, right? I've had Vosh go after me. I've had his entire community go after me, and I don't like. At a certain point, you have to like. For me, I realize, you know what? It's literally not worth like trying to correct the record. When people were making swastika flags out of my username, right? And saying that I was a slobbering racist who liked to slobber while saying the N-word, I realized even though they're a smaller creator, there's no end condition here that leaves me in a better position by responding to anything else that they have to say. Now,
I just gave you one.
I'm sorry, can you say it again?
If my audience is actually honest and they're actually being good faith, they would probably see things that people are saying about me and want me to respond to them, and they would want to know what the truth is about it. If they're not, and they're just some sycophants that are just going to follow me no matter what, then sure, you're right, that's what I should do. But if they're not, and they're actually honest people who actually care whether or not I did something, then they would want answers.
Were you pressured by your chat to respond to any of the attacks post J-Stalk Kelly Jean drama?
Okay.
Sorry, maybe I'm misunderstanding you.
We got to be specific. I don't know what we're talking about. In like, if you're talking about Queeman saying that it was proven that I was claiming to be an authority, yes, that almost anything that I get about this shit is from my community. I don't watch any of these people. I don't watch streams at all. I don't really watch YouTube
I understand that.
So yes, any of the shit that I get, I am getting it from my community, and they're saying, hey, this thing happened. I was wondering about this. What happened here? What happened there? Or it's my friends who are also streamers saying, hey, this thing happened. Is this true? Did that really happen? And so, yeah, once that happens and I realize, oh, people are like actually wondering about this, yeah, I think it's necessary for me to respond.
So the answer to what I was saying was yes, that there was pressure on you to address this on stream.
You say pressure, but like if people are asking me about things, so like let's say STV Philly gets called onto a stream and they say, hey, I wanted to convince you of this thing because this is why it's bad to still be friends with Tom, or these are things that I don't think you understand. And they do this on a stream in front of a ton of people. And Philly is like, oh shit, I didn't know that. That's, yeah, then I really need to, reassess my, the way that I talk about Tom and my friendship with Tom. And then Philly comes to me and is like, hey man, this isn't good. Why did you do this? And I'm like, wait, that never happened. Here, let me show you. And I show him and he's like, oh shit. Yeah. The way that they explained it was really convincing. Now I'm like, okay, well, yeah, then there's probably tons of other people who are also looking at that and thinking this is really convincing. And so I should probably go address that.
I feel like I'm getting too like a different answer to the question. Like when I say like they're like you're having like people in your chat pressure you because you initially said that like if there are people in my chat, there are people in my community that are.
That's why I said I don't know about pressure. I said if people ask me about things to where it seems as though they're good faith and they actually want to know the answers, then I'm gonna explain it to them.
Yeah, I think that the addressing anything on stream is what like adds to the broader narrative, even if you don't perceive it in that way, or even if it like in reality isn't that way, or maybe it's not as what's the word I'm looking for? Not consequential to you, but like it's not like this like big thing like, oh well, I gotta like go out there and like respond. I guess like I would just say you probably shouldn't respond, or if people like specifically ask you about it, like, no, it's bullshit. Here's the response. You're asking in good faith. I'll give it to you, but I'm not going to give these guys any more like ammunition. I'm not going to give these guys any more, attention that they want because they're, getting all this viewership for watching streams about me, right? Like the more the rule of lolcaldom is like,
wait, but I'm getting all the viewership for responding to them as well. So why?
Do you think that is good viewership, or you think that is people coming in?
They're watching my commercials.
If that's the way you want to live, brother, like you can do that absolutely. If you're willing to fight the holy fight, like you're like the rest of your existence, and fight against people that are just for like the sake of the conversation, like bad faith, like just giving bad critiques of you and just lying, right? If that's the way that it is, right? I would say that dressing them gives them more ammunition. I would say that giving them air gives them more ammunition. The law of lolcaldom is they always respond, and they always feel like they're correct. And even if you are correct, you're given that lolcal energy to them for them to further feed off of, like an Ouroboros.
Yeah, I don't like everything that you're saying are just like things that are totally irrelevant to me, and I don't really care about. I look at what happened with because like yeah, no matter how long I've been streaming, never used the word lolcow, never like talked about milking people, never talked about the shit because I think it's just like a cringe way to even engage in content, and I've never like looked at any of the shit that way. So when people use that talking about me, I think, okay, well, I can just kind of discount the way that they're talking about this here. I will say that when Zonia and Sass released all of this shit, the fact that I did not turn around and frame them the same way that they were framing me, and the fact that I didn't turn around and leak DMs immediately, and I didn't actually respond to the shit that they were saying, is what made me look worse, and that is what caused.
In which specific situation? Sorry, the Sass and Zonia.
Where Zonia does the stream, and she releases a bunch of shit about me, and kind of frame things in a specific way. And because I was looking at it as, well, these are my friends, they wouldn't do this to me, and so there's got to be some confusion, that I went with the philosophy of, oh, I'm just going to be fair and I'm going to give them a chance to fix this, and we'll just handle this behind the scenes and this will be fine. And that's what fucked me up, is just waiting for that and assuming good faith and not responding when I should have. And so yeah, I missed the opportunity. And so now that shit 5 months later is still being leaked and still going on, there's no other option but to actually just show everything that happened from the beginning and show that these people are just not trustworthy, and engage with things as they happen now and explain it as it happens, instead of waiting forever, just hoping that people will just want to be on my side just because.
I know what my last question to you is going to be, but there are a couple of more things that I want to just like see the perspective on before I ask that. So we talked about the narratives that you see. You talked about like why you're responding. We disagree on that. For like, this is just like my perspective on the responding stuff. Like, I think that there is a time and a place for a response, even with the initial situation with JSTK and Kelly Jean. Like, yeah, 100%. I think that the best way to respond is once, as quickly as possible, and with everything that you have. And then after that, like addressing it any further, like having the discipline to like never talk about it again is the best way to go about it. So like, for instance, like if I were in the same position as you, right? What my thought would be, this would be a thought. I would never actually go through with it because I'm a lazy, but would be to basically put together a timeline of events, right? In a Google Doc, and do the manifesto thing. Like lay out everything right there, release it, and then like literally never address what anyone says about you literally ever again, from like the crew of people that you know are just there to like farm outrage from you, right?
That's a little too simplified, just to be clear.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like, but like, that's like
just
the
to be clear,
summary,
I can
TLDR.
put it out. Yes, I can put it out. And the point isn't to like drag it out. But if like I ever want to get back to the content that I was doing, where I'm just having people on, taking call-ins whenever, doing panels whenever, and that we just like turn shit into content here and now, or, just whenever that me having people on, and then they're going to be like, oh, well, let me ask you about this thing that you put out on Sassafras, and me being like, oh, no, can't talk about that. Actually, not having that conversation, the whole like open and fairness and like being genuine and all that shit. I'm not doing that anymore. Can't be that person anymore. Like my entire channel has been about like optics, what people think. We're going to go review what everybody else is doing. We're going to review the other drama streamers, and we're going to point out where they're being bad faith and they're running with narratives and they're running with shit that's not true, that doesn't align with the facts. And now all of a sudden I'm supposed to change it for myself and be like, oh no, actually this time I'm just really worried about narratives and I'm just going to ignore the facts, and the whole philosophy of the type of community that I want to build and the type of person I want to be, just going to throw all that in the trash now and just do this whole different thing. It just doesn't work. It doesn't make sense.
I mean, if you're talking from like just like principally standing up for mistruths, yeah, I guess if like that, if you're going to go like the lawful good route on that, and you're just like consequences be damned, like fallout be damned, this is the truth and I'm going to put out the truth. I am a paladin of the reality that we live in, and I will not stand by and let people warp it. That's fine. I guess maybe from a principled standpoint, I would agree, like you should defend the truth as much as possible, and you should defend yourself to the greatest extent possible. But I also think that your principles can't really go that far if you're like trying to preach your principles like we are on the internet, right? In this space specifically, like your principles aren't going to get preached to a lot of people if you're feeding into what the narrative about you is, right? At a certain point, like if you're trying to fight against a narrative that is the narrative is that you're like debate perverting literally everyone and everything related to you. Kind of just like feeds into it. But I don't think that we're gonna see eye to eye on that one, because it.
Well, I think each time that happens, I'm able to also show like a pattern of behavior of like being very patient with people, being overly good faith with people, being overly like nice and trying to talk to them in other ways and handle things in other ways before it goes that direction. And almost I would say literally every time it goes that direction, it is them that's escalating. It is them that is choosing to do shit, and then me just responding and playing defense. So yeah, I think that like each and every time, if I'm able to show that and everybody sees that yeah, like I am living up to what it is that I believe is right in the type of community I want to build, and the type of streamer that I want to be, and yeah, in that case, like it's because if I end up being this other person who is worried about these other things, just wouldn't want to stream anymore. This would be pointless.
I'm just here for a good time, and I like talking about politics, and that's a good time for me. If it was to the point where like I had people going after me in the way that they were going after you, and I felt like I was correct, but the narrative about me was like getting twisted, I would probably just like stop responding to certain people. But that's me. Okay, so I guess like there's one more thing, and then I have like the final question.
Well, I feel like there was a time where you were fighting with like Demon Mama and Doe, and they were all running around calling you transphobic. They were calling you racist, and they were able to like twist everything in a way. And I do remember you sitting there and just straight up saying, "No, I'm going to Giga Chad this them, their narratives. I'm gonna keep calling them out. They're pieces of shit. They're liars, and I don't give a." That's what I'm doing. I don't give a. If that's what they want to do, that's fine. But those people would much rather me just lay down and allow them to keep making shit without ever responding. And almost every time I do respond, and then I show clips over and over of like what's actually happening, and I show their pattern of behavior, they don't respond to that. They don't play that on their streams. They don't engage with that whatsoever.
Yeah, because they're maintaining a narrative
into talking about something else.
They're maintaining a narrative, and you're not. Is the problem, and they have a
exactly, and that's what I'm saying, is that like the whole idea of like, oh, you responding just constantly feeds back into the loop. No, it doesn't actually. Like when I actually, instead of just talking about them and just telling everybody, you remember when this happened, you remember when this happened, instead of doing that, no, I'll go get the clips and I
hold on. There's a fundamental there's a misunderstanding of what I mean. I'm not saying that they're gonna like keep on responding to your clips about like how they're bad faith and you proving them bad faith. If you have something that like, you know, side by side proves that they're lying or proves that they're, you know, misrepresenting or whatever right? You might be able to do that, and they're not going to respond to it. They're just going to know that it makes you mad, know that the next time that they get any information on you, it's going to make you more mad, and that they're going to get more content out of it. Yeah. So you're essentially like shouting it, not into a void necessarily, because you do have an audience, right? But you're speaking to a crowd of people that already like know that these people are going, you know, ape shit on you. So you're
yes, but also again, when I've talked about these things and when I've talked about these people, even when I was talking about Demon Mama and Denims and Xander Hall, and when I talk about Queeman or JSTK, I say pretty commonly, just because they are bad faith and just because these are unreliable people doesn't mean that they can't be right. Doesn't mean that they can't find something. They are so hungry to find something that they're willing to convince themselves that they're right over and over and over, but I can show that they're wrong. But that doesn't mean that they're always going to be wrong. At some point, they might actually be right. I might have up, and there have been times where like even just recently with some clip that they found from a year ago where I was like, yeah, I up there, that was irresponsible, shouldn't have done that. And that's the way that I would rather engage with my own content and the way that I act. And that's how, when we're talking about like if there's a sea of people saying that you're wrong, well, this is how I know if I'm wrong and how I can engage with it and admit when I'm wrong. Yeah.
Okay, give me 1 second, write this down. Because I have. Okay, so you were just saying that. Okay, so in regards to like the Demon Mama situation, yeah, you're hitting the nail on the head with that one. Because I fought with him, I giga chatted it, and it kind of me. It kind of me like really hard in real life.
No.
Yeah, because now there's a ton of clips of people, or a ton of clips that people have made and have gone around on the internet that I can't delete off of my channel because it's on either someone's Twitter or it's on someone's YouTube that I have seen, that my parents have seen. Right. This also happened with the I can be way more racist dude. Infrared.
That was a good one.
Yeah. It also happened with him where he put out a video like calling me a pedophile. My parents came across that video. Not super great, right?
Yeah, sure.
And I mean, like, I would like to have a job, and my job is going to be in politics because that's what my degree is in, right? And I already had to take a back seat to a like possible employment opportunity coming up when I moved to DC in a couple of weeks because of my giga chatting through the Demon Mama stuff. I had to take a back seat to something that would have been both good for like IRL career in Washington, DC, and because of stream and on stream. So like the idea that we can just giga chat through things and like we're telling the truth, like, yeah, on one hand, that's like a pretty good way to live your life, and it's a really good philosophy to live your life. But in my opinion, I feel like there are some battles that are worth fighting and some people that it's just not worth fighting with because there is no good outcome.
Every little thing. There's like
sure, I'm just saying like any
streams
response
on a daily basis that are about me, and I'm not engaging with literally everything. But yes, if there are new things that people are releasing and new DMs of mine that are coming out and new shit that's being reframed, then yeah, I'm going to engage with that. I'm going to explain it. I'm going to make sure that I'm still being open and I'm still being genuine with my audience, and that I'm not going to hide from this shit. But if I end up doing that shit, like literally, I just won't want to stream. Like if I have to become somebody else and pretend I'm somebody else and not actually be open and honest and genuine, I don't want to do this shit anymore. This is what my whole thing has been from the beginning.
Sure. I guess I don't see it as being dishonest or not like myself. I just see it as like there are like some things that I want to fight about.
I'm not
some
saying
things I just
dishonest.
don't. Sure, I know what you mean though.
Right.
Like the whatever, I didn't know the exact words, but I knew the direction you were going in. Like I understand it, and like to a certain point, I can respect it. Just like I can respect a lawful good paladin in a D&D campaign, but I'll hate them for not allowing me to steal some like really nice weapon because they're role playing too hard. Like the idea that like I would sell myself out for fighting a battle that doesn't really matter in the long term, but like I would still have much better engagement if I just didn't. Like that's just a difference between you and me. I don't think that we're going to debate either one of us out of the position that we're in. So that was the thing I had about Demon Mama. There was something else that you said, but I wasn't able to remember to write it down because I didn't want to interrupt you. Something about the principles. I can't remember. Okay, there's two more questions, or one more topic, and then a final question. With the sulfur stuff, can you give me your point of view on that? Because I've only gotten anti-Tom people giving me their perspective.
Yeah, it was a joke. That's like, the joke is that she's lesbian, and I'm obviously not interested in her, and that's why it was funny. There's like if you know what the list is, that it's literally a list of women that it's like obvious that would never happen. It was like women who were like these hardcore rad femmes or lesbians, or
is this what I've heard it referred to as your list?
Maybe I
I don't know what it is, but I've heard about a rape
There's
list.
another meme. Yeah, there's another meme that was made by Spicy Chat a while before, where it's like a picture of me holding a list, and it says list on it, and then below it says everyone that Destiny's ever had sex with.
I've seen that.
And so yes, and so on the list this is a reference to like a thing that Darius did a while ago. And so it was just referencing his meme, but it was like instead it was a list of women that I obviously wasn't interested in, and then like Pamela Anderson and Amaranth. And then below that it said everyone Destiny's ever talked to, or every woman Destiny's ever fucked, or something like that, to reference that meme. And so like this was just like a thing that like, yes, like obviously women who I'm not interested, it's just like kind of funny to go around with them. And after saying that to her, I said like, yeah, I'm obviously just being a dick, like just around. She's like, oh, okay, like I'm okay to play like this, I just get nervous sometimes and wasn't sure. And from there, never happened again. And we became friends and we got close and we were in tons of like VCs together. She came on my show all the time. But then also like and so yeah, so anyways, we got closer, and that was never an issue. It was never brought up again. It was never a thing. It seemed pretty obvious she knew it was a joke and she didn't care, and is now bringing it out just to add to a narrative.
So like you sexually hurt, or I'm sorry, I'm reading chat at the same time while talking to you, and I shouldn't do that. Okay, so you talked to her, and you made jokes, like flirting, and then said, I'm just being a jerk, I'm just like with you. And then like after that you guys were chill, and then at what point did the relationship turn sour?
Like 2 weeks ago.
Just 2 weeks ago? Gotcha.
Yeah. Like 2 weeks ago, we there was something I said on stream. She said in chat that she disagreed with it, so I DM'd her. We had a conversation about it. She told me what it was she meant by the thing, and that I misunderstood. And so I said, okay. But then I was like, on top of this, though, I keep like seeing you say a bunch of things in chat and in public that are different than what it is you're saying to me. And I don't, and this isn't just you, but this is with Resi, this is with, Sass, Zonia, like all of these different people. They all keep telling me one thing, and then they go and tell the public something else. This is getting annoying. This is a pattern of behavior that I'm noticing from a bunch of different people. Then, like right after we have that conversation, she goes in the Resi's chat and says, Tom lied to me about a bunch of stuff. Nowhere in our conversation does she accuse me of lying at all. Not whatsoever. So now I'm like, okay, she's literally doing this again, where now she's not saying this to me, but she is going and saying it publicly. And so I asked her to go on to Resi's stream. We had a conversation about it. She took it back. And then after she took it back, she jumped off that stream and went and said a bunch of new things about me that again, she had never said to me, or never mentioned to me. And that was, yeah, just the same thing that I had just accused her of, is just kind of being two-faced towards me. So yeah.
Okay. Because
like those DMs that she leaked, those are like one of the first times that we met and had talked. We had already been like memeing. She had been in my chat for a while. And then now we were on streams together more often, and we were talking more often in DMs. And so now I was just like with her there. And then, yeah, then there's like months and months and months of like a relationship and friendship that like where we actually get closer, and she comes on more and she's reaching out to me. I'm not reaching out to her a bunch, but she's reaching out to me as well. Sassafras leaked DMs saying that she was uncomfortable about it. There's a ton of DMs of her suggesting Sulfur come on stream and suggesting we have Sulfur around more. So it like all these people who are acting like that happened, and then they realized that I was bad and I was gonna cause problems, and they were uncomfortable around me. It just does not align with reality, does not align with the facts.
Okay. So I don't know what DMs that she leaked. I was sent some DMs about this because I said that I wanted to talk to you, and so of course 5 billion people start messaging me. So I have some screenshots. I don't know what is and what isn't public. So can you tell me what like the gist of the DMs that she released were?
Are you talking about the ones from what I was saying to her?
Whatever it like, what did she leak? Sorry, I have had a really bad speech problem the past couple of months.
There's a bunch of things that she's leaked, but like I want to say like 3 or 4 different things. So if we're talking about
discrete images or discrete conversations.
I don't know which. I'm totally lost on what you're.
So were they, when you say 3 things that she's leaked, were they like, this is one conversation?
DMs.
Right. But was it like multiple images of one conversation, multiple images of another conversation, or was it like here's one screenshot, here's the second to the first one or the second one? Sorry.
The first one.
Okay,
There were
got you.
multiple conversations.
Okay, because I have these screenshots here, and before I like ask you any other questions, what can you tell me what the deal was with like taking the shirt off? Because I didn't get any context for that.
But I don't know what you're asking again.
There's like a clip of you, or like a clip compilation of you like asking her to take her shirt off on a stream.
Oh, yes. So we're on a panel. They invited me onto the panel to like dress up as maids. And so we got there, she was still getting ready as we were like waiting, and while we were sitting there, it was just a lot of waiting and there was nothing really happening. We were supposed to be like drinking and just like having fun and around, and yeah, over time I'm getting like progressively drunker and there's still just like nothing really happening. And so I think at one point said something about like I don't know if it was because she was changing or what. Again, this is a while ago, so I haven't actually seen the stream. If anybody has the link to the stream, I would love to see it, because I haven't seen all of this, but I'm just trying to remember the best that I can, and I will admit it's not a great memory. But yes, that like eventually I just started memeing about like her taking her shirt off. It, from what I remembered, I thought other people were playing into it and other people were around. And then it was like a 5-hour panel, and for like maybe 4 minutes of it, I said something about her taking her shirt off a couple of times. Other people were saying it as well. Even in the clips that were released, you see other people playing into it. And then I stopped, and
Okay.
and then I think I want to say that's the same day that I started like instead just kind of like messing around with her in DMs instead of doing it on stream, just to meme with her there.
Okay,
instead
gotcha.
of live in front of everybody.
Yeah, that lines up more with the timeline that I have. Because at first you said that like you did the like joking flirting at first, and then you said you were a jerk, and then like y'all's relationship grew from there. It seems like the reverse. It seems like the first DMs were pretty professional in September. And then after that, the Halloween stream was the one where you said the okay, for me
wait, that's not the opposite. Wait, that is the same thing. Is that yes, like before that we were just kind of like acquaintances, like we have like friends in common, and we just kind of like saw each other here and there, and she was in my chat fairly commonly. But then I want to say the Halloween stream is where she was messaging me saying like, hey, so what happened was she came on my stream, and it was for something, I don't remember what, but if I remember correctly, again, Sass told me to invite her on, so we brought her on. And she, when she came on, Sass sent me her Twitter and said, hey, promote her Twitter. She doesn't really have a channel. So I pulled up her Twitter and I said, hey, everybody go follow her Twitter. Also, she has like a Fansly on there, so you guys go follow her Fansly. She got a little embarrassed, and so I DM'd her in the background, and I was like, hey, I'm so sorry. Was I not supposed to mention that? Was that up? And she was like, no, it's perfectly fine. It's fine. Like, don't worry about it. I was just caught off guard. That's all. It's perfectly fine. Not a big deal. And so yeah, from there, from what I remember, I would meme with her in chat when she was in chat the same way. And then, yeah, right after, she invites me onto the maid panel, making me think, okay, so I didn't fuck up with the Fansly thing. I didn't like, she didn't think that was too far. She didn't think that was a problem. So she specifically invites me onto the maid panel with her and Resi for Halloween. I go on there, around just a little bit here and there. And again, this was like kind of common with like lots of girls who came on the stream. We would just like kind of joke this way. And then and so yeah, it was like for a couple of minutes of that where I said something about her taking her shirt off. Then I was with her in DMs again. Obviously she's a lesbian, so like there's no way there. I talked about it on stream a bunch of times. It's cringe for guys to think that they can straighten out lesbians. But yes, we have that conversation. She says that's fine. It's okay to play around with her like that. But then after that, I didn't keep playing around with her like that. Because yeah, we did end up just becoming friends. We were in PCs together.
Have you
we
responded
were doing
with
a bunch of other shit together.
Have you responded with any screen caps that show that you were like, "Hey, I was just joking," when I don't think that you can turn lesbian straight, et cetera, et cetera? Have you released counter logs?
No, in the DMs, I say like, sorry, I was just being a dick. Like I'm shit like that. Like I'm literally telling her that, and she says, "Oh, okay, sorry, I didn't know. It's okay for us to play like that. I just wasn't." He's like, "I just get nervous sometimes." That's what she says in the DMs. So if that's not there, then they're cutting that off. But she's deleted all of her DMs since, so I cannot pull up any. Oh wait,
But you can
no,
pull
I
up
do
your
have.
side, right?
Well, again, she deleted them, so I
But
can't pull up.
your responses should still be there, yeah?
My response is yes. So
Yeah.
if hold on, so let me. I'm looking at what's on your screen. Pull it up.
Yeah, I can
Uh,
actually just like copy and paste these images to you if that
yeah,
makes it
no,
easier.
that's the one. That's the one right there. I say I'm being a jerk. She says I wouldn't call you a jerk. I'm happy to be playful and stuff, but just worry about with my stupid anxiety brain. Anyways, hope you get some rest. And make sure you set an extra alarm. And I said, yeah, I set 4. So yes, right there, I'm saying, I'm just being a jerk. Like I was just around and, because at first I said, I'm just being a douchebag. And she says,
Yeah.
you're not a douchebag, LOL. And then I say, yeah, I'm just being a jerk. And she says, okay, like I'm happy to play like this. I just got anxious and wasn't sure. And I felt bad that it seemed like, yeah, she wasn't sure that I was playing. And so, yeah, that's when I felt bad and thought, okay, if I play like with her like this, I have to be like very clear from the beginning, because it seems like at the beginning of this, she wasn't sure until I told her. And so now, so yeah, so then I just felt bad that she was like confused for a bit of that.
Well, I mean, the way that this is cut, I like if you can screen cap your response where you're like, yeah, I don't think that you can turn lesbians. I was literally just joking.
Hold on, I didn't say that. Hold on, I didn't say that. I'm
Sorry, I
saying,
thought that was like I was trying to get as close to the words that I heard you say. I might be wrong. Go ahead.
no. I'm telling you,
Mhm.
this is the way that I played with people in my chat. This is the way that I played with women on stream. I didn't say this to her. I'm telling you
Oh,
the way
okay,
I
I
played
got
with
you.
people, and that I had already said on stream like a bunch of times that like obviously it's cringe to like try to turn lesbians straight, and that like guys who think this is just a decision are cringe. And so from my perspective, people who watch me know that I wouldn't actually do that. And they know that this is like the way that when women come on, like we do play around and we flirt with each other and we have flirty relationships, and that's like just a part of the content that I do. And so it was, from my perspective, obvious that it was a joke.
Okay, well here's like tell me if you think that this is an unreasonable read. All right. Um, there's a girl talking to a content creator, and he is like, he's a progressive guy, right? He talks about stuff on stream. I don't think that you can turn lesbian straight, right? I don't know if she
Mhm.
was there for that stream where you said that, but like, so let's assume that like she wasn't there for that, right? But she knows that like you like to joke around and stuff. These DMs are at um 1 in the morning through 6 in the morning after you had been drinking very heavily. Do you think it's unreasonable for her, like based off of what I'm reading right here? I don't think that it's unreasonable for her to feel very uncomfortable, right?
Hold on. I'm not sure where this is getting lost. So let me
Sure.
lay
Yeah,
this out a little
I
bit
might be
more
a
clearly.
total. So
I said it once I told her that I was just being a douchebag, I'm just being a jerk. I realized that because she says, "Oh, I wasn't sure. I'm just like getting anxious." So I realized, oh, she didn't know I was joking from the beginning,
okay,
and I
gotcha.
felt bad. But it seems from her response that there she knows I'm joking and she says that it's okay to play, but that at the time, when it first started, she may not have known that I was joking. And that's when I felt bad. And that's why I never played with her in that way again, is because if because I do have a very dry sense of humor, and I am very like serious in the way that I do shit, and I think it's funny that way, and I assume people are playing along. And so yeah, when I realized, oh, she wasn't playing along and she wasn't sure if I was being serious, then this is going to make it like harder for me to do this, and I just won't do it in the future. And so when I say after this, we became friends and we were talking more and more friendly after this, and in VCs for long periods of time, and she would offer to help me with things, and she was like more so the one pursuing a friendship with me and reaching out and offering things and shit like that, that it doesn't seem as though she was uncomfortable, and that she did get that it was a joke, and that even in those DMs, you can see she gets that it's playing around.
Have you ever done a review on stream?
I don't know what that is. What's that?
You go over Me Too allegations.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that is exactly how I'm reading this, and how I think that other people would read this, is when I see somebody say, oh, it's okay, I'm happy to be playful, that I would see that and say, oh, so this is this person, like giving them permission to do this in the future. They're saying that this is cool, and that like from that person's perspective, if they really were uncomfortable and if they really did have a problem with this, they are communicating the opposite here. And that if I heard that they were friends afterwards, and that that person continued to pursue a relationship with that guy, that I would say, oh, it's pretty obvious they were not uncomfortable around him and that they didn't have any issues. And if they don't report any other issues outside of the one at the beginning of them first talking and first becoming friends, then it doesn't seem as though there were issues.
See, I read it in the like exact opposite way on a like if we were to go through it on like a Me Too thing, right? Because I feel like, and this isn't how people should respond. I think that people should be more direct, right? But there seems to be a pretty easy through line that you can see through so many of these Me Too's, where the girl is being very, like, haha, yeah, no, I know, like, I just want to be playful. I just want to like be chill, right? And they're actually like very uncomfortable and trying to diffuse the situation so that it doesn't go any further, while still like, not telling you like, oh, you creep, why are you saying that to me? Not saying like,
Yes, but again, we're not saying that here. We're saying the opposite. We're not saying that she is saying, oh, I don't know, it's not that big of a deal. Don't worry about it. But she is literally saying, I'm happy to be playful and stuff. So that isn't just like this, like a general, like, oh, maybe, who knows, maybe I'm not sure, blah, that's not that. No, this is like a direct statement saying, I'm happy to be playful, meaning she knows that this is playful. She knows that this is a joke, and that after this never happens again. None of this ever happens again. And so if what we're saying here is, oh, you should have read from this that like it was kind of like dangerous to play with her, that is what I'm saying. I'm telling you, I read from this that it was dangerous to play from her because she got anxiety from it, and that I felt bad. And that from here we get closer and we have more calls and more DMs and more of a friendship, and that we spend long periods of time together, and that none of this ever happened again. And it was because she was reaching out to me and offering things to me and messaging me and being friendly with me. And so, yes, you cannot, that is what I'm saying. It seems like you keep saying you're reading the opposite, and then you're saying
I'm listening to you, right? So like I can get your perspective, because like all I had were screen caps, and I don't know, like, again, there's a load of lore to like everything that's happened since what, February? So like I'm not going to sit down for a conversation that I want to have in a like relatively chill way and like autistically go through every single 5-6 hour VOD to like catch you in a lie or something like that. I'm not going to go through everything. Right.
Okay, so hypothetical. She says that right there, right? I'm happy to play. She says it blatantly right there. This isn't like a, a mixed message or anything like that. It is a very direct message. I'm happy to play. So it seems like she knows this is a joke and she's aware of it. But now after that, she pursues a relationship with me. Hypothetical again. She pursues a relationship with me. She offers to help me with things. She offers 3 or 4 times to help me with my router before I finally accept, because I felt uncomfortable accepting help from people. And finally, I accept it, and she spends 3 to 4 hours in a call with me just helping me with my router. And that the whole time we're sitting there like and talking and like having long conversations about shit, that she reached out to me numerous times outside of that to join calls with her where we would have conversations about things, that she started coming onto my show more often after this. That from there, if that is the hypothetical and that is what you're getting, and that even after that day, I don't message her, but she messages me the next day asking me how I'm feeling, if I drank enough water, blah, blah, blah. Like, that this is not somebody who is shying away from me. This is not somebody who felt uncomfortable with me. And this is not somebody who was trying to like distance themselves from me, and that I was like pressuring them and continuing to make them feel uncomfortable and continuing to pursue them.
Right. So like basically that's your perception.
I just said in a hypothetical.
Right. I heard the hypothetical part,
true,
but I didn't hear the question at the end. So I thought
if
maybe
that is true,
yeah.
that doesn't sound like somebody that they felt uncomfortable with.
No,
right?
It doesn't. No.
Okay.
Right.
So it would be weird if after all of that, then they release this, even though in the DMs they say they're happy to play and it seems they get it, it's a joke. Afterwards, they release it. That part, I believe, was cut out when I read it on Resi's stream. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that part was cut out on Resi's stream, and that they release it and say, yes, he made me feel uncomfortable. He's a pushy sex freak. And after that happened, they Sulfur defended me on the sex pest allegations multiple times after that happened. And I have a phone call, a recording of her saying, I don't think you're a sex pest, and I think that they're framing you, and I think that they're bad faith. But now she released this and says that she needs to apologize to JSTK and that I am a sex pest. Does that make sense? That after this happened, she didn't think I was a sex pest, but then she releases it way later, and now she thinks I'm a sex pest.
That wouldn't make sense if that was the case. No.
Okay. So if that was the case, that would have made sense.
Yeah, if that is the
would make sense.
Yeah. Okay, so what happened on when you confronted her on Resi's stream? How did that conversation go? Because I
so
didn't
again,
watch it.
that was about her. She had not released these yet, so we didn't have a conversation about this. This had not come out.
Okay, got you.
She released it after that conversation. So in DMs the day before, I was talking to her about the fact that I was getting annoyed by the fact that her, Beckett, like Sass, like all of these people who I thought I was friends with keep saying one thing to me, but another thing publicly, and that this is two-faced, and that I'm like,
and what was the thing?
Annoyed by the pattern of behavior. Huh?
And what was the thing that she said to you privately versus publicly?
There isn't one thing. There's like a number of things.
Or
so,
an example.
Okay, so an example that we bring up there is that we had a phone call right after the stream where I like go over the Zonia stuff, and I was asking, as soon as I ended stream, I got onto a call with her, and I was saying like, hey, she was the person that I asked to reach out to Zonia and Sass and like set up a call and everything. But I was asking her, hey, I feel like I'm losing my mind. I feel like I'm too emotional right now, that like I'm really hurt by everything that's happening and I can't think straight. I need somebody to give it to me straight. Tell me like direct criticisms and tell me like exactly what it is that's going wrong here, because I am not understanding. And what she gave me was a general timeline of events and just kind of generally told me how things looked and that these things look bad. And that was it. But then in other people's chats, she was a bit more like So like one thing she did is she jumped on Kankomore's stream and said, yeah, Tom's obviously claiming to be an authority on linguistics here. Well, that was annoying to me because I felt like her and I had a conversation about the fact that Queeman had cut me out of context before and lied. But she said that's not what she meant and that I misunderstood. So fine, that was one thing. But then also she was in my chats when a lot of those things were happening, when I was talking about those things, and there wasn't a problem. She was part of my community for a long time. Never brought the linguist thing up as a problem. Never had issues with it. There's no like new information now that changes any of it. Yet she didn't have issues with any of it. There was in Emperor Dave's chat, she was saying that I was like defending things that that I didn't feel like I was defending, and if she felt that way, she didn't express it to me and tell me that these things were bad. And so yeah, so there was like a bunch of things where she was going and saying things to other people, but wasn't saying them to me. So then in this case, we had a conversation about all of these people saying one thing to me and another thing publicly. And then right after we have the conversation, she goes into Resi's chat and says, Tom lied about me, Beckett, and Sick. And I was like, what the f-? We just had a conversation about this and nowhere in there did you tell me that I was lying. This is up. I don't know why you're doing this again. Can we go on to Resi's and talk about this? We went on to Resi's. She took it back and she said, okay, yeah, I'm not calling you a liar. I shouldn't have said lied. She took it back. I was good. That was it for me. I thought we were fine. I thought we settled it. But while I was on there, she left. I argued with President Sunday. I argued with a couple other people. While I'm doing that, she's calling me a pushy sex freak. She starts leaking DMs and starts posting that shit to make it look like I was sex pesting her.
Gotcha.
So the same thing again, just something that was never said to me is now being posted publicly with a very different narrative.
And in regards to the DMs, you don't have anything that we could go to the date stamps right there that are from the screenshots and something immediately afterwards that would completely change the framing of that? Or is it just the framing is so out of context for the totality of the relationship?
Are you talking about the Two-Face stuff?
I'm talking about the sex pest stuff, because that was the last thing that you were talking about there.
Well, I can't disprove something that hasn't been proven. So if there are other very sexual messages that are in our DMs, and if that's the claim, and she's saying they aren't, or sorry, I'm saying there aren't, I can't prove that there aren't. She would have to show that there's a pattern of behavior there, and then I would have to show that that's out of context or something. But I can't show you that I didn't do something.
Right. I just thought that. Sorry, I thought that earlier you said that there was more conversation after the last cutoff on the last screenshot from the early morning following the Halloween stream. I thought you had said that, but I must be
I said the part where she says in there that I'm happy to play, that I could be misremembering, but from what I remember watching Resi stream when he went over it, from what
I can just read it to you.
The one who leaked it, that I could have sworn that part was cut off. But I don't know if they went over it on a different part of the stream because I didn't watch for very long. So
yeah, the cutoff is your response to her, saying, I wouldn't call you a jerk. I'm happy to be playful and stuff, but I just worry with my stupid anxiety brain. Anyways, I hope you get some Z's. Well, she threw an X
You're
in there.
saying he showed that part on his stream.
I told you that I didn't watch that stream. That's why I was asking him, just letting you tell me the.
Okay,
order
we're
of
only
it.
talking about his stream. I don't know why.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
to you.
This sulfur stuff is very much more convoluted than the previous stuff. Jesus Christ. Okay, so we're not talking about any screenshots that were leaked prior to that stream. Everything happened afterwards with the leaking.
Yes, everything happened afterwards. She hadn't leaked anything. She hadn't had any of these problems before. She hadn't said anything to me about it, nothing. And then all of a sudden we have a conversation there. I was upset that she was saying something again that was I felt like was two-faced. And then, yeah, right afterwards, she started calling me a pushy freak and saying that she would sooner ride with the Taliban than me, and then released all those DMs.
Alhamdulillah. Jesus Christ. Well, I guess Allah, but let's see here. I guess that kind of leads us into the last little bit that I have, because I don't. Again, like, I'm not a lore master or anything.
If I can, just real quick, because I keep seeing Nair saying this all over the place. So Nair keeps saying there is a pattern. I don't know what the pattern is. There is a thing with Kelly Jean where where me pulling up her Instagram, she said she didn't care about me pulling up her Instagram. She cared about what other people were saying in the chat. So that wasn't a problem with Kelly Jean, but what I said in the chat was a problem that everybody acknowledges is me like trying to troll her and trying to like with her. So that's okay. So that's one thing. Now you're saying another thing with Seven, where I just pull up her pictures on stream. And then when Seven tells me 3 months later that that was a problem, I just apologize. And then that's the end of it with us. Nothing goes on from there. I just say sorry. And that there was nothing else. And then with Sulfur, there's something that actually happens in DMs where she now, like, what is it? Like 4, 5, 6, 7 months later has a problem that she never voiced until now, and that she was friends with me the whole time in between. These are all insanely different things. So whatever the pattern is, outside of the fact that you might look at that and say, oh, Tom's heterosexual, Tom likes women or something like that. Like, whatever the pattern is, I don't know what you could take from it. And most people in this space have zero issues. That's just a lie. Vosh has tons of issues with women. Destiny has tons of issues with women. Todd Logic has tons of issues with women. All of these people have had tons of these similar types of things happen a bunch. And this is all just kind of normal shit that if it was anybody else, I feel like would be called out. But yeah,
well,
it's me, so it's not.
For me, I feel like there is an easy out. Just take my strat. All right. My strat is never comment on anyone's physical attractiveness that you might one day speak to. And never message anyone privately or flirt with them publicly. I just feel like that is so much easier to do and so much safer to do. And I feel like there are so many better opportunities for dating in real life than there are on Discord. So that's my prescription. All right.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I agree with this. Yeah. That, like, again, yeah, like when we're talking about, like, I think Nair said, like, it's a pattern with streamers. Sure. It is like a thing with everybody in this space that they are heterosexual. If you got a bunch of guys and girls around each other, they start flirting with each other. They start getting involved in some way. But in, like, everywhere else in the world, like, when you guys do that, it's not a thing that can be turned into content. So you turning around and trying to act like, oh, this person made me feel uncomfortable this one time, it doesn't blow up into this huge problem where you're this horrible person. It's instead just a thing that happened, and then that's the end of it. But here, it's normally a way for people to hate on women and call them, like, and say that they don't do shit. In my case, it's what everybody's breaking their consistency, where normally they would call women out for this, what it is that Sulfur did here. And again, something that I just apologized to her for, and I said that apology stands, but that doesn't mean that I'm okay with her releasing the stuff, and that doesn't mean that I'm okay with her trying to frame it in a certain way. It doesn't mean I'm okay with her being two-faced. Like, all of those are different things. I apologized for making her feel uncomfortable there, and that apology stands because, yeah, I didn't mean to do that.
Okay. I don't know if this is actually going to be relevant. I'm going to listen to a clip that someone sent me. But actually, I was about to say, go ahead and just, like, give me an answer.
Just pull it up on your stream, and I've got your stream up. So
okay.
Just play it
I'm warning you. I was just sent a Q-Eman clip. All right. I have no idea what it's about.
Shit like this.
Forward you were with all of this crap. So
this is obviously about different. This is irrelevant, not about the Sulfur situation, but it's about how Tom operates.
I felt pretty safe at that point.
but with like without that like go ahead from them, yeah, I'm always like in the middle. I'm in the freaking shadows. I'm always here and then I'm there and I'm like, oh, haha, can't catch me. You don't know if I'm making a move or not. Like, you know, I'm always plausible deniability, can always say things in a way to where there's always that question there. Forward you were with all this crap. So I'm
Okay. I think that we got the meat of whatever the clip is supposed
Yeah.
to be. How old is that?
That's the way that I've talked about it on stream a bunch. Just saying that, like, because women do the things that Sulfur did, that, like, even if I am...
Oh, so it's recent. Gotcha.
I'm just saying, I have no idea if it's recent or old. I've said these things a million times, so I have no idea. It doesn't matter because, yeah, I've said it a ton. That's me talking about the fact that, like, I don't ever pursue women because of stuff like this, that like I am afraid that it can be taken the wrong way, and that normally I'm just kind of around that if I am like pursuing a woman, I will like be around her and see if she's interested in me first before I ever make a move. And that's kind of what I'm talking about, is that like, yes, like if I am like with them, or if I am like flirting with them or something, that it would always be in like a friendly way. But again, in this case, we're talking about somebody that's a lesbian, so it just doesn't fit at all. But yeah, sure, that is true, truly. And I remember after saying it, I think Sass or somebody was like, "You shouldn't say that on stream because people are going to take it as like as you like finding a way to deny that you flirted with women or something like that." So yeah.
All right. So it's not like I am going to like flirt with women. You know, and wait a second. So is it like I want to flirt with you, but I want to do it in a way so that like, you know, I'm testing the waters and can laugh off as a joke later, or is it because that's what I just heard, and I might be misunderstanding, because I don't think that you would say that as an explanation for the So go ahead. I misunderstood you.
Okay, so I guess for an example, so like the last girlfriend that I had, this is somebody that I worked with for a while, and then she was leaving, and she was moving away. And so right before she starts moving away, we start getting into like conversations about religion, okay? And we're like getting into like very intimate conversations about like what we believe within religion and things like that. This is me like opening the door to where it is something that nobody would look at and say, that's him like coming on to her. That's him trying to get with her. That's anything like that. No, it's me just having a normal conversation with somebody and then trying to read signs from her. And if she ends up being into me, and if she ends up liking me, then yes, then I might have some sort of like pursuit there. But it's not that I would ever just like go cold like hit on somebody and just like ask for their number or try to get with them or anything like that. What it is that happened in Sulfur's DMs, where I'm literally saying, just tell me you decline me. You just tell me you're turning me down. Like that is not a plausible deniability sort of thing. That's like a very straightforward sort of thing, unless it's like obviously a joke based on other context there. But
well,
yeah.
I mean, like because I don't know what like. I'm chill with you. I don't really have much of a problem with you, like, whatsoever. But like, so I don't know what your personality is like in DMs, really, right? Me reading that, it kind of seemed like 4 a.m. drunk person, like, just reject me. If you don't even like me, then just tell me that you don't like. That's what it sounds like to me. That's what the reading is to someone that doesn't know you personally in DMs. That doesn't have that close relationship with you. Like, reading those DMs seems like sad. Like, Tom is sad. He is drunk. It is 4 a.m. and he's talking to a girl with a fansly. Like, so that's how like I read those DMs when I read them.
Okay,
right?
but what I don't understand, and I understand that this is what people keep saying. What I don't understand is where I say, well, I'm just being a jerk, like I'm just with you. And she replies with, oh, okay, like I don't think you're a jerk. I'm I'm happy to play around. Like, it seems like she gets that it's a joke there that she didn't earlier, and I understand that. I understand that she didn't get it as a joke earlier, and she was like getting nervous, thinking that I was being serious. But at the end, seems like she gets it's a joke, and she's saying, "Oh, okay, like this is a joke. We can play like this in the future. I just wasn't sure." That's what I get from that last message. And then for me, as somebody who's reading that, somebody who is conscious, I read that and think, oh, if I'm like being very dry with my humor and she's unaware, then she's going to get really nervous, and I probably shouldn't do this in the future. That's, I get her saying, yes, this is a joke, and me saying, even though she gets it's a joke, I'm not going to do it anyways.
Gotcha. Okay.
How do you not get that is my question. Like, how do you not get that from what is read?
Because I feel like I've seen 1,000,001 sad boy DMs, not just like from like Me Too's on the internet, but from like women that I know personally who like show me like sad boy DMs on their Instagram. And it like, I'm sorry, I'm such an asshole.
Sad boy DMs.
I like a usually when I say sad boy DMs, I'm talking about like those kinds of dudes who are, you know, self-deprecating but want to be with a girl, but they're like, I know, I'm just like I'm horrible. I shouldn't be doing this, or something like that, or like I'm such a jerk for saying that, I know, but like I just think you're so beautiful, you know, that sort of thing. That's what I'm referencing when I say sad boy DMs.
Okay.
I don't know if like there's a more popular term for it.
It's okay to play like this. What do you take from that sentence? What do you get from that?
If I received a message like that, I would probably never message them again.
That's well, she messaged me after that.
Yeah, I would never respond.
Again, what would you get from that message? What is being communicated with
that? I have made her uncomfortable. That like that's the reading I get. I understand what you're saying, and especially given the like later information, like you have the power of hindsight, right? But if I didn't know that she was going to message me tomorrow and continue coming on my stream and shit like that, if I had been messaging a girl even jokingly and like I realized, oh shit, maybe this is uncomfortable, and then they said something like that, no, like I'm fine with joking around, you know, like I would feel suicidal, and I would just like I probably wouldn't block them, but it would be a long time before I responded to literally anything.
Well, it sounds like you're saying that as though I'm actually like pursuing her, though.
No.
We're joking.
No,
it is a joke.
Any situation.
And then she says at the end of it, like like I get from that.
Yeah.
She understands it's a joke. She's okay to do this in the future. Yes. What I took from it is like, okay, based on the anxiety shit, yeah, I'm not going to do this again. But at least she got it was a joke. She understood it, and that she didn't think that I was like being serious, and she's okay with this. And then yes, and then my plan was to just like lay off and just let her decide like what she wants to do next. And what she did was yes, like from my perspective and from the way I remember it and from reading the DMs, that she pursued a friendship with me, and that like she was comfortable. And so yes, with all of this context, looking at that message, it seems like she's saying, yes, I understand this is a joke, and that I like this isn't and this is something that we could do in the future if you want to keep playing and joking like this.
Yeah, I mean, like I understand what you're saying, right? Like, I'm telling you that, like, even if I was joking with someone that I knew was a lesbian and I was trying to make a joke at them, and then like I realized that the jokes had like gotten to a point where they were uncomfortable, unsure where I was coming from. Even then, not like pursuing them, even in the context of what y'all were doing, right? I would immediately like want to go to the rope store and find a nice rickety stool, and I would probably just, you know, go and die in a closet or something.
There's just a bunch of like, it was part of like my persona and my character online, right? Is that like having people like Lauren De Laguna on, like she'll come on and immediately start talking about like she's in love with me and that we're gonna get married one day, and like we're like playfully flirting the whole time and shit like that. But we don't have like any sort of like intimate connection. We don't have a real like back and forth. Same with Lav. Lav will come on and she'll talk about us dating and us being in love and all of this shit, like, and we'll flirt with each other and it's funny, and it's like part of the, and then even in DMs we'll like with each other that way and play around that way. And this just is like part of the way that I always was on my show, and the way that I talk to women and the way that they talk to me. And it was just part of like the character and the entertainment value of it. And from my perspective, yes, if I started doing that to somebody who's a lesbian, that like it would be pretty obvious to them. It wasn't obvious. I felt bad. And that, but it seemed like, yeah, she got it. So it wasn't so bad. It was just a little embarrassing that for a while there, she thought I was being serious. And then at the end where she understood I wasn't serious, it was like, okay, well, this is still embarrassing that she thought I was being serious. So I'm just going to leave it alone.
Yeah, no, that's just like the reading that I have of it, right? And again, like the main purpose of me wanting to talk to you was like wanting to understand the where you're coming from on stuff, because I'm not watching multiple 6-hour streams to try and find the context, right?
Well, and that's part of the problem is that nobody sees everything. Most of the information is coming through other people's streams. And so I get like where the confusion comes from. I get why there are narratives that are able to take off. And I totally understand.
But I feel like I don't want to like relitigate. I feel like that in and of itself, what you just said is like bolsters my thought of like, why the f are we responding and like giving people more,
because there isn't a never-ending shitstorm that people can keep throwing at you without you ever actually responding to it. You just can't. Nobody can survive that way. Like literally, my audience has continued to dwindle as they are continuing to talk shit about me, and as I'm just not really engaging with it or responding to it. And so it doesn't. It seems like there's only a downside to not responding. There is no upside to it whatsoever. And the only downside to responding is that people that I don't respect and nobody else respects and everybody already thinks are lolcows are people who are going to call me a lolcow. That's it. That's like, okay, I just see no downside from either from engaging, and it's just a downside from engaging.
Yeah. All right.
Or I mean from not engaging.
Yeah,
sorry.
I understand. So the final thing that I was going to ask, and this kind of like fits into what we were just talking about, like in regards to like your responses, are we just like, are we in damage control mode from the initial responses, or do you like, would you have like responded differently at the beginning? Like, is this like the continuation of like, this is the strategy that we have because this is the situation that we're presented with? Or have you like thought back, like, if I had done this, this probably would have been a lot better for me?
Okay, so as I said, I am not doing damage control. I'm not trying
Sorry,
to
when I say damage
convince
control,
anybody of
just to be
anything.
like super clear, I'm talking about like, have you ever played a grand strategy game like Total War Warhammer or something like that?
Let me just explain. I think I understand what you're saying. So
yeah, you make one decision and then you have to deal with the ramifications of that down the road.
Kind of, yes. So I look back at what happened at the time with Zonia. I know how emotional I was, and I know how much I did not trust my own thoughts. And so I could not have reacted that way back then, even though I wanted to, and even though there were tons of people telling me to, I could not have done it. Today, I am clear-headed. Today, I am not emotional. And today, I can now look back at that and say, okay, I probably would have been best if I had just responded and leaked everything back then. And so now that there's opportunity for new people to join my community and new people to find me, those people are now going to hear about old shit, and there's still not going to be anything that actually contradicts this. So now I will have videos, and I will have DMs, I will have calls, I will have all of that shit in places to where if they come ask me about this, I don't have to respond to it. I can just say, there's a video right there. Go watch that, and you will get all the information and all the context that you would need.
Right. So you like wish you had done that at the beginning, or? Yeah, gotcha.
I wish I had done that, but I also, again, I know looking back at like my emotional state and my like the way things were going, I couldn't have done it. I was not mentally prepared for it. And on top of that, the little bit that I did show that proved that they were lying, I still got tons of shit for it. People called me a piece of shit for showing it, and I was totally confused on what was going on. There
Which
was
thing
literally
was that?
nothing I
Sorry.
could do.
You just
So
said the
like
thing.
there was a couple of things. So like one was I put out a statement in Discord. Sass and I had agreed on a statement, but at the end of it, I was really pissed off at her. I know she says she decided to leave. I asked her to leave and told her that I was uncomfortable with this relationship. And so I was really pissed off at her at this point. And
This
we
was
had agreed on a
for you,
statement,
Mantis.
and we ended the call. And I put that statement in the Discord, but added to the end some nice things about her. Said she's a really, I said she's leaving. She said that she's focusing on work, blah, blah, blah. That is all the things that she asked me to say. But then at the end, I added, she's a really good producer and a really good mod, and I wish her nothing but the best, and a really good friend, and I wish her nothing but the best. She got upset, apparently, according to the Zonia stream, that I said she is a really good friend. He thought that I was trying to make it sound like we were still friends, and that I was trying to like lie to everybody. And so they leaked all of these DMs saying, no, look, Sass and him are done. They're over with. He's lying, trying to pretend that they're friends. So I showed DMs of me messaging Sass after I put out that statement saying, hey, people are telling me Zonia is going on stream saying that you're unhappy with the statement in the Discord. We said that we would tell each other if there was a problem. So tell me what you want me to do. And then she doesn't respond. I sent another one. Hey, if you want me to change this, just let me know. I'm trying to fix things, but I don't know if people are just trolling me, trying to get me to go after you, or if you are actually unhappy with this. So just let me know. And then another one say like, and just there was like 3 or 4 messages like this. And then I just stopped messaging her. And then they come out with this whole thing saying, yes, Tom's trying to mislead people. Tom's trying to lie to people.
And
blah,
the
blah,
actual
blah.
intention was to do what?
When I said she's a good friend, I was just trying to be like the bigger person. I was just trying to be an adult and just be nice and say nice things about her as she was leaving.
So there wasn't like a thought behind it. Gotcha.
Yes, I wasn't. When I say she's a good friend, I'm not saying she's still my friend right now. I'm saying I'm not talking shit about her, and I'm not gonna like fuel a bunch of hate about this person. I am telling you, if you want to be friends with her, she's a really good friend, and she's somebody that you should be friends with. That's what I was trying to communicate. But I was like furious with this at the time. I was not trying to like make it sound like I was friends with her at the time. And so when they leak this and they're saying, oh, Tom's trying to lie to everybody. Well, here's DMs from me saying, I'm going to change this if you want me to. If you're unhappy with this, just tell me what you're unhappy with and I'll take it back. I will make the correction, but they didn't include that anywhere. They just made it sound like I was.
Wait, I'm confused on the timeline.
Okay.
Because it sounds like you were responding to Zonia's stream, and you said Sass is a good friend. After this,
no.
Okay. Jesus
After
Christ.
I have a call.
Yeah.
We agree on a statement. Say okay. So I ask her to leave. We agree on a statement for me to put in Discord. I put that statement in Discord, but I add she's a good friend to it.
Oh, you added an extra line. Got you.
Yes, I added in a couple extra lines just saying nice things about her. And the one that they had a problem with was she is a good friend. So once I heard there was a problem with that, I offered to change it. I didn't get any responses. And then days later, Zonia does a stream saying Tom's lying about this. Tom's trying to mislead people. But they don't include that I was willing to take it back and I was willing to change it and I was willing to correct it if she had a problem with it. But they just made it sound like I'm trying to mislead people.
Okay, gotcha. So, trying to remember.
That's just one thing. There's other shit in there as well. Yeah, there's a lot of shit in there.
Yeah, we don't have to go through literally every single thing, but just like, you wish that you had done the manifesto earlier. What kind of like, mental checks do you have? Because you said earlier, I didn't trust my own mind. I have been there, but what kind of like mental checks? Like, how do you like come to the conclusion that, okay, hold on, I'm not trusting my own mind right now. I need to get some input from other people. You go to Sass and Zonia, and they're on the opposite side. How do you decide? Okay, actually, I am correct here. Like, is it just like these people said no? There are two people. There are three people over here that say yes, that I am correct. 3 people to 2 people, or these people have a very hefty, I weigh their opinion way harder than most people, but there are 50 people over here that are telling me that I'm right, and they're the 2 people that are saying that I'm wrong. Like, where do you decide? How did you like come to the conclusion? Like, okay, well, they're talking to me about behavior. I feel like I'm not doing something unhinged. They're telling me that I'm doing something unhinged, right? There's like 150 people on the opposite side of me, plus 2 people that I think are like very good faith with me, looking out for me, wanting me to succeed, right? What was like the decider at that point? Like, okay, I'm not crazy. They are. They're not that they're crazy, that they're incorrect or they're reading the situation wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you keep bringing up opinions. It didn't really have anything to do with opinions. The thing that made me feel crazy was the narratives that led back to a fact that was untrue. And so I kept looking at that fact that was untrue and thinking, I have all of these other facts that totally discount that one. So either they are lying or I'm missing something. There are some other facts that they have that I don't. And that's what I'm missing. And so when I say, okay, so I reached out to them, I asked for meetings, I asked for more information. I told my side on stream without leaking things, without like, calling them out, without calling them malicious or anything, and just said, I would love to hear why they don't think this way. And I never get that information, but instead I get more leaks with new narratives that still don't align with the facts, and then more leaks with more narratives that still don't align with the facts. After this happens so many times, eventually I'm fairly positive that it is just lies. It like after it happens so many times with so many people, and it is the pattern of behavior that I see, and I'm the one who's not escalating things. I'm the one who over and over is not starting the fights. I'm the one who over and over is reaching out and being charitable and being fair. That I can look at all of that and say, okay, so it's pretty clear what's going on here. And tons of people told me from the beginning that I was just delusional and I shouldn't be so fair to these people. And they've been pissed at me the entire way through. There's been people who have separated from me just based on the optics that I did not leak from the beginning. And so, yeah, so at this point, I look at everything and I say, okay, I should have leaked from the beginning, and I was right the entire time. I was just emotionally compromised, and I was just questioning myself too much, and I was too patient and too fair, and now
Well, Tom
I'm not
is
going to
fair.
do that.
Okay, Tom is fair. Sorry if you're not in the mood to meme after that. Sorry. Wait, is that a negative meme? Because I thought that was a positive meme or a neutral meme.
No, it is a positive meme, but it is also something that people use to make fun of me, because they also, like, if they believe these narratives that I'm just a liar, they obviously don't think I'm very fair. The thing for me, and I think it's something that I have not talked about until recently, it's something that I didn't really mention because I didn't want to give the other side ammo, but I truly, this shit hurt me. Like, people that I cared about, people that I trusted, people that I put a lot of faith in, did the opposite to me. And people who kept telling me they were trying to warn me about Mantis, and that Mantis was going to stab me in the back, that Mantis is lying to me, that Mantis is doing X, Y, and Z. They ended up doing all of that shit plus a million times more, and Mantis ended up doing none of it, and was one of the few people who was right the whole time, and was being honest the entire time. And so, yes, all of these things really hurt. These are people that I cared about and had close relationships to. And I was just hurt mostly. And so, yeah, it's hard for me to think in those moments. It's hard for me to gather my thoughts when I am very upset about this shit.
I'm trying to decide if there's, because I could just ask you a bunch of like little side questions on this that I don't think are like necessarily important or that you would necessarily want to answer. Trying to see here. So when can we expect the manifesto that you're talking about?
I don't know. I there were a couple other times that I said I was going to do it, and then I thought I really don't want to escalate, and so I'm just gonna say, hey, if you all just stop leaking stuff about me and just stop talking about me, I'll leave it alone. And then each time they would do it again, and I would say again, okay, I don't want to put this out, just don't. But at this point, it is just they've piled on a ton of new shit, and I've even been finding out about more shit that was leaked that I didn't even know about from like months ago. And so it is more so just kind of going through everything, finding all of the stuff that was leaked, all of the narratives, all of the lies from these people, compiling it, getting all of the like counter narratives, getting all of the DMs, the phone recordings, the the streams, everything together, and then being able to put that into a seamless timeline that is able to make sense to people. That's hard. It's hard to like, especially with a relationship like me and Sass. We DM'd all day, every day for like 3 years plus. It's hard to give people context to a relationship like that and make them understand like the the back and forth there for a long time. And I can't do that. I can't give them everything. So it's going to take a bit to like pick what's important and make sure that I'm able to be fair to everybody and that I'm not misrepresenting anybody. And so I've even been reaching out to people saying, hey, like this is part of what I'm talking about. I want to make sure that you still feel this way and that you're still that you're not going to feel misrepresented by this. Or I'm reaching out to people saying, hey, we have DMs on this. Is it okay if I show these? Is it okay that I make sure that like this shows that this is what was happening at the time? And so yeah, there's just a lot to go through. I would say probably within the next couple of weeks to a month, it should be done and out.
All right, gotcha. Yeah, I don't have anything else for you. But so
like most of the important stuff is stuff that I compiled a while ago, which is why I said over and over, hey guys, if anybody wants the truth, if anybody wants to reach out to me, you can, and I will just show this to you. I've had that shit for a very long time. And so the important things about like me having a romantic relationship with Sass, me being abusive to Sass, me leading Sass on, me the fact that I lied to her for a long time about the relationship with Mantis, that I wasn't telling her about it, all of these things untrue. I've had those DMs for the longest time and was easily prove them wrong. Super simple. Like it was the easiest shit in the world to just prove very easily that they were wrong, but it's also like embarrassing for her. And my hope was that, yeah, she would just take it back and I wouldn't ever have to leak any of it.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'm going to, for chat and for you, because Jesus Christ. So the point of the conversation wasn't to be a dunk fest. It wasn't to come in here and confront him on every single fact, because I'm sorry, there's simply too much for me to go through and watch 6-hour VODs from every single person's perspective and then set up a conversation with Tom. All right.
Same for me. So even for me, I don't know half the shit that's been said. I don't know half the shit that's out there. There's lots of narratives. I don't know where they came from. I don't know who started them. I don't know if there's DMs or any information to it. There's lots of shit that, yeah, I really just don't know. There's too much. The point of this conversation, I wanted to pick his brain on a couple of things, and then I wanted to talk to him about a couple of other things. Now, here's the because there's a lot of stuff here that is super convoluted, that at a certain point I was like, I'm just gonna let him talk. I'm going to listen back to this conversation because I have to like piece together what you're
saying, because you know the background and I don't. Would you be
Yeah.
down for like in a week to like follow up on stuff? Do you think that you'll have your manifesto out by then?
In a week,
If you
I
worked
don't-
really hard.
I don't know. Probably not. And honestly, I'd already. You had reached out a while ago to talk to me,
Yeah.
and
There were extenuating
and-
circumstances that happened that night that made it to where we weren't going to talk. Yeah.
yes, and so yeah, so I wanted to make sure that like I still took the time to talk to you because I did agree to it back then, and so but for now, for the most part, yeah, I'm trying not to really talk about this shit, not trying not to like get too much into the weeds with it, and more so just talking about like how narratives build, like how I question myself. I did a whole stream the other day. The last 2 streams were me talking about like questioning biases, like how do these things work, especially in this space? What is it that drives stuff? How is it that you can combat this? Like this is mostly what I've been talking about over the last couple of
Gotcha.
streams without
Well,
getting
instead
into
of
the
doing a
weeds with it.
conversation,
Until it comes out, I'm trying to just focus on getting it done and getting it out.
gotcha. If you know, a bunch of people get mad at me for talking to you and not like doing a bunch of pushback or like catching you in lies or whatever the people want, can I like just like DM you a clip, show you what they sent me, and then ask for like what the real facts are or the facts from your perspective or whatever?
Yeah, sure. That's helpful as well because like I said, I don't know where a lot like people will come into my chat out of nowhere and say like you did this, you said this. I'm like that just never happened. I have no idea what you're talking about, and I never figure out what they're talking about. Maybe they're trolling. Maybe there was something that that was said. I don't know a lot of times. So yeah, if you want to send me stuff, there's also like you understand that when you say like, hey, it's like the behaviors, blah blah blah, or whatever. Like you understand now that it there can't be like a never end to smearing somebody and lying about somebody, and especially when they have lost 90% of their audience in the process, that like eventually that person does just have to start engaging and responding and telling the truth and all of that shit, right?
Right. Yeah, this is the thing. When there are so many allegations of people lying and throwing around, you know, misrepresentations and all of that stuff, I don't know like to what degree people are lying or if people are lying to me when they tell me stuff, right? Again, like I said, there were like about 20 people that messaged me when I said last stream that I was going to talk to you. I didn't respond to most of them because I am just too mentally sound to get that deep into drama.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, I like on one hand, I'm not like terribly invested in this, so I'm not like out to get you and all that shit. What I'm more interested in is the idea that like just as like a human being, because I'm barely a streamer right now. Okay. Like I used to be a full-time streamer. I'm barely a streamer right now. All right. I come on and I dick around and I get to release my anger at conservatives. So like the more interesting thing to me was the like falling out of people that were very close. Like at what point do you like actually like say, you know what, this is too destructive to my interpersonal relationships type thing. And see what your thoughts were on that. We have very different lines for
Well,
that.
and I did want to mention on that, like part of my issue at the time as well was I had ignored JSTK for a while. I had like he had been doing literally I think every stream for about 3 to 4 months, had like long sections about me, and I engaged with him twice, maybe 3 times, and I just like outside of that was just ignoring him. And then at the end when the stuff happened with Kelly Jean and I realized, oh okay, so now he's like actually planted seeds enough to where something small like this now seems like a big deal, and now this is something that I have to respond to. So when I do respond, and maybe I didn't respond the best way and like it was you know whatever, that like other friends who I covered their dramas tons of times. They covered mine tons of times. That like normally when we cover each other's stuff, we would say like, you know, yeah, I disagree with Amir. Probably shouldn't have done this. Probably shouldn't have done that. But the important thing is that this person's lying. This person's being bad faith. They're smearing him. They're trying to, and that's just not what I saw happening. So then when I invited people on to talk about it, I expected, we had done this before where they would say things and talk about things. I expected to just invite them on and say, hey, I didn't like the way that this was done. You do agree that like I'm not that person, that you can stand by my character, and that like the important thing is that what they're doing is lies and smears, right? And what I got was, yes, but here's a whole bunch of other shit that I'm going to throw at you now that's also going to like make you look way worse. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to keep telling you I'm doing this because I care about how you look. And I'm going to keep throwing more and more like optically bad stuff at you to while telling you I'm doing it because I care about you and I'm trying to help your optics and shit like that. And then the next day, oh, I'm leaking a bunch of DMs and lying and smearing you again because I'm really just worried about you and I really care about you, and because you're my friend, I'm just gonna
Yeah, I
keep
gotcha.
lying and doing it.
Really
like,
quick.
That's yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I need to like basically I need to end the stream, but there's someone in the waiting room. I don't know who the this is. King Brick Shit. Does that name mean anything to you?
I kind of know him, but yeah, I don't really have time to get in the calls. I had told you I had like 45 minutes. And
Yeah, we've been here a
way
lot
over,
longer.
and
Yeah.
I do need to. Yeah, I do need to get back to it.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I answered all your questions. So.
Yeah. Well, that's what I got for you right now. I guess I'll catch you later. I'll definitely be reaching out to you just to like for my own personal edification, just figure out like if I'm getting the runaround from one side or the other. But yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. All right. Catch
later.
you later, man. Well, welcome. For people that are new, if you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching on Kick, I'm Sondsol. I am a political science student. I like to talk about politics. I like to argue about politics. We talk about all sorts of fun things on here like drama and politics. And I like to argue with people and chat about a lot of different things. Like, comment, and subscribe. I don't like to shill. Also,